It's Lockwood, man. What's up, bro? I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to join us. This is gonna be
What's
fun,
going on,
man.
man? How you doing?
Man, I'm doing pretty good, dude. I'm actually excited to have on another competition shooter. It's been probably a year since I had on a competition shooter. The last competition shooter I had on was Becca Spinks. You heard of her?
No, I don't. I
I know
haven't. Is
there's
she
about
what competition does she shoot? I shoot USPSA
I'm not positive. I'm not positive. We didn't really
because
get
there's
into that. She's a Twitch streamer now. She's BX Bullet TV on Twitch. If you ever wanted to go check her out and see what she's all about. I know that she shoots three gun. She shoots
IDPA. Oh, three gun. Okay.
yeah. She shoots well, I don't know if that's all she shoots, but she shoots a Benelli, shoots a CZ, and she's got an AR-15. She's got three competition guns, so I'm assuming that's what she mainly does is three gun.
The three gunners. Yeah, those are the rich ones. Those are the rich shooters
Right on.
because you
Man.
got to have three guns, and then you got to have backups for each. And that's originally what actually. Well, I'll talk about that. That's what got me into it 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago. Just watching YouTube. Started watching just different shooting competitions. Started watching gun stuff, of course, because I was getting my guns out, cleaning them, and then YouTube just goes down a Pandora's box or opens a Pandora's box of the shooting world, and three gun sparked my interest. Started watching that, and then realized I live in California, and three gun doesn't really exist because black guns are bad. The AR-15s, oh gosh. So, anyways, I found my local range as competition, and kind of got into it that way. So I went out there, started shooting, and then stumbled my way into a competition and just been hooked ever since.
Man, that's legit. Man, I want to be a competition shooter. I want to get into it. I don't think I'll ever slap the trigger like you fucks do. I don't think
Yeah.
that I'll ever be able to reteach myself how to pull a trigger again. So, man, explain that. Explain why you guys do that, because it doesn't make any sense to me.
So, well, you got to, before you just start slapping the trigger, I don't recommend anybody just to go, oh, what's this about? Let's just start smacking the trigger. It's more about, you got to have a proper grip. So I know kind of from my tactical teaching that I've had for law enforcement wise, they start with a stance and they want you to be balanced and all that. And competition style shooters have a stance too, but in USPSA, you're shooting from every angle. So you're leaning sideways, you're down in a low port, you'll be laying down, you'll be shooting single-handed. And so you have all these skills that you've got to try to be good at. And the stance doesn't really matter. You should be able to shoot it. So back to my point, the grip is really what's important. And when you're slapping the trigger, if you have a bad grip, and I can go into that a little bit. I don't know how boring it would be, but I can go into my grip. I'll get a pistol out in a second. If you have a wrong grip, if you slap that trigger, what you get, which most people do, is low left if they're right-handed. Their dominant hand. If they're left-handed, it'll be low right. That's due to them flinching, and slapping kind of it'll make that worse.
Well, yeah, you're talking about somebody that doesn't know how to grip, and they're trying to slap
Correct.
the trigger. They're going to push it down,
Right.
and also be anticipating the recoil of the gun,
Right.
which makes you push
So
down
basically-
even further at times.
Right. So if you can learn to slap the trigger, the idea is the same. Is you pull it straight back. Well, you just learn to do that faster. And the reason you slap, for us, it's close. We have close targets. We have typically, it doesn't go much further than 30-yard targets. But on anything that's out to 10 yards, let's say, if it's an open target, then you can pretty much just slap the trigger. And the whole idea is you break the shot and you throw your finger off that trigger so it can reset as fast as you can, and then you're back on it. So that's the idea. I didn't make it up. I just copied it from what I saw on YouTube.
Man,
So I'm just a product of what I've seen.
I can see why you guys do it, man. Like, what do you have? Like a 2-pound, pound and a half trigger on your gun?
Mine is closer to 3, but yeah, it's lighter. It's between 2.5 and 3,
And stock is like
So-
5-6 pounds.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, so I'm
So
more of a tactical shooter, and we shoot off the wall. And for you folks
Right.
on YouTube and you guys watching us live on Twitch, shooting off the wall is when you pull your trigger and you only decompress the trigger until you hear this click, a reset, and you don't release any further than that. That way when you go to pull the trigger again, you're traveling a little less than half the distance back so that you can get off a faster shot. But I'm running a stock trigger. Therefore, slapping the trigger is going to basically, no matter how good my grip is, if I slap the trigger, it's going to move my gun a little bit because it's got a 5-pound trigger. This guy could probably slam his gun on the... Well, I doubt that. Maybe if it was 1.5 pounds, you could slam it and it'd go off. But he's got a pretty light trigger, and he could probably slap it without moving his gun around too much.
Well, see, so you shoot a Glock.
Yes.
So part of your problem is when you're pulling that trigger, you can't slap it because you're rowing a boat. That thing goes a mile.
Oh man! Don't you start talking bad about Glock. Now, so what gun do you shoot, man? What gun do you shoot? I think you said what, Smith & Wesson when we talked?
No, it's all right. Actually, I did for a time. I'll give it. They make a good pistol. They make a good pistol. They've got an M&P that I shot the M&P for a little while, and to get it where I needed it for competition wise, there's some things I had to do. And SIG, you do a lot less because they actually build purpose-driven pistols for competition, and they do a good job. They kind of shoot themselves in the foot. No pun intended, but they, from what I've seen, whether it's their guns or pistols or their optics, they innovate almost too much. So they're constantly coming out with new things, if you notice, and they're almost like pissing people off because somebody will buy a new optic and then 2 months later they come out with a new optic or the next version of it because they figured out how to do, make a better window clarity or something. And it's pissing people off because it's like the new cell phones, if your phone's more than a month old.
I was just about to say that, man.
Yeah. Well, I get it. So from I guess from a marketing standpoint, it's probably not the best thing, but I feel that SIG, at least the people that I know at SIG, they're trying to push for innovation. And I love that because they're always reinventing and trying to do things better. At the same time, they're trying to get it to the public. So that's a huge, in my opinion, that's a big positive. Unfortunately, it creates some negativity with the public because they're just like, well, I'm just going to wait till the next version. And so I get it. But you can't have it, I just respect that they're trying to put the money back into innovation. However, not to dig on Glock, but I had like 5 of them at one time. But every new Glock that came out, I realized what's different about this one.
To me, the Glocks are getting shittier. Like the Gen 3 Glock had the perfect rod guide system in it. Like you can make a rod guide system out of the parts in your garage. It was amazing. Like I made rod guide systems for the Gen 3s just to play with different materials. I tried and what I find out is it's better just to have the plastic. It needs to flex. But yeah, man.
They built that gun.
I have a Gen 3 Glock 17. I love it. I got a 3.5 Ghost disconnect in it. It's great. That's the weapon that I carry with my unit. And then I have a Gen 4 Glock 19 with the Streamlight on it and just a stock trigger. Man, what I like about Glock is it's good for like a guy like me, an everyday carry guy. I have to mean it to pull that trigger, right? The only way that gun's going off is if I want it to. Like people freak out because I appendix carry. Well, guess what, bro? You got to really yank on these triggers to make them shoot. If you're so much in a hurry to where you're holstering your weapon and you shoot your dick, there's 2 issues here. Why are you in a hurry to holster your weapon to begin with? And second of all, why would you upgrade your trigger on an EDC? Glock goes bang every time you pull the trigger as long as you're not running shit ammo, and that's why I carry them. I imagine if I was a competition shooter, I would probably switch to something like a CZ or... Yeah, I like CZs.
CZs are good, yep.
They're sexy as fuck, bro. They feel good. They feel good.
They do. I had a choice kind of once I reached a point, and I'm nobody in the shooting world by any means, but I was fortunate to. Yeah,
I think you're Earbud died. Give it a second. His earbud died. Technical difficulties. Yeah. He's using wireless earbuds, and one of them died. It happens. We've been bullshitting for about 30 or 45 minutes before we went live. It's my fault. He had them all charged up. No, can't hear you yet. Can't hear you yet. Here, let's do this. Let's do this. I'll go full screen and I'll send him a message. We'll get him back on. It'll be all good. This is going to be this is going to be a weird YouTube upload podcast. I'm not editing this shit. This shit's supposed to happen when you're talking to people online. Shit happens. Shit happens. We're working on it. We're working on it. Oh, he can probably... I don't know if he could hear me or not. You can hear me. But I can't hear you. Oh, so this is what's happened when your Bluetooth headphones died. It lost the basically what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to end call and come back into the call so that your Bluetooth headphones know that you're on a phone call again. So just end the call, try to come back, and maybe they'll correct themselves. If not, maybe we'll just have to use your phone without the Bluetooth. Sorry, guys. It happens. This awesome podcast to be back up in a second.
Did that work?
That worked, bro. All right, cool.
I can hear you.
Awesome.
I can hear you.
I can hear you too. Just turn on your camera.
Oh, yeah. Did I do it?
Yep, you're good to go, man. So this is what I would do.
Right.
This is what I would do if I were you. You have a charging harness for your earbuds?
Yeah, well, they're still charged. It showed that they still were three-quarters full. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I don't know either. What I would do if I were you, I would take the one that had a problem and I would put it in your charge harness. And if that one that you're on warns you that it's about to die, trust me, I do this at work all the time. You'll just pull the other one out, and while it's out, put the other one in, and it shouldn't disconnect anything. Oh, shit. It did it again. That's what did it. That was a bad idea. See what I did? I fucked it up again. Oh, man. You'll have to leave the call and come back probably again. Sorry, man. It's all good. It's all good. This kind of stuff happens, man.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't have to leave the call then.
All right, awesome.
All right.
So where the fuck were we?
Right.
I think we were talking about triggers.
Yeah, I think I was convincing your audience to switch to SIG. All right.
Oh no.
So what I got to show you I made it nice just for you. Look at this presentation. Look at that.
That's gangster as fuck.
So this isn't for competition. This is actually, these are my competitions. Well, I'll start with this one. This is going to be my everyday carry that I just got from Gray Guns. And all these are checked. They're clear. I don't know if there's any Nazis out there that are scared of guns going off, but I know how to make sure my shit's clear. So I just got this back from Gray Guns. It is not complete, but it's the 365, and I still got to get a holster for it, so that's why I'm not carrying it. Have you seen these?
Oh yeah, I've seen them.
Yeah. Okay.
They're sweet.
So this thing's tiny.
It's like
but it still shoots.
It's their answer to the 43.
True.
Yeah.
True. So they did. But I shot a 43, and there's nothing wrong with the 43. I actually liked it, so I was thinking about getting one until I shot the 365. The 365 is about this. It's equivalent size, just about. But it shot like a full-size gun in this small of a package. That thing it's not that big. My finger, if you look at my finger, it goes out to almost the end of the barrel.
Yeah, it's pretty much like a Glock 43, man. It's what I got for my wife.
So what I wanted to show is Bruce Gray Guns takes care of me. One of my sponsors, I'll plug him. But I sent it to him once I got it, and he did a stippling job. So you can see there.
That's sexy as fuck, bro.
And then he cut it.
He milled it out for an RMR.
Yeah, it's going to be for the Romeo Zero once I get one, but they're hard to come by right now. So, and of course, he did the trigger. I know you just talked about how it's an everyday carry. Why would you change the trigger? Well, it's not that this is super light. It's a little lighter than the stock, but it's just a nice flat-faced. I like flat-faced triggers. I don't know if you're a fan, but it's a good trigger. I mean, it's not super light, but here's your reset.
That's not too bad.
So you can hear it. And then, so yeah, I just wanted to plug that because they do some pretty sweet stuff.
What's the company's name again?
Gray Guns.
Gray Guns.
So Gray Guns.
We'll get them
Bruce
on the
Gray.
podcast.
Yeah.
I'm
sure he would come. Bruce Gray is the one who actually, as far as I know, so if you get him on, that'd be great because he could clarify. So the modular system for the P320, you know how you can take this 320, take the slide off, and pull the trigger assembly out all together?
Mm-hmm.
He's the one he's the guy that designed that.
Wow, that's sick as shit.
So
I see you have.
So he knows his 320.
I see you have a much lighter rod guide spring in that pistol.
This is a 15-pound spring.
Dude, it looks pretty light. You pushed it back like it was nothing.
Oh, wow. Strong hands.
Oh, fuck. What are you trying to say, Isaac? What are you trying to say, bro?
That's my strong hand, So this is a competition gun. I have two that Bruce again, and then Keith and Jordan, his guys. They really took care of me. So it's a little different than what you would get or be able to buy because there's some customization to it. So the lower, it's kind of a Frankenstein. SIG has the composite lowers with tungsten infused. It's tungsten infused lowers. Have you seen those?
No, not at all. All my lowers are polymer.
Right. So it's a polymer, but it's infused with tungsten to make it heavier. And the reason why that's better for competition wise is because it reduces the recoil because the more weight you have, then this slide blown back is less likely to take you, have muzzle flip. So it's heavier. If I could weigh it, I'd show you, but
recoil management. Recoil management.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I actually have a buddy that put one of those steel red dot risers for a rifle. They're about that long, but he got one that was steel and he just put it on the bottom of his pistol on the rail just to add some weight to it. And it works. His gun it's really easy to maintain recoil on it. And he's a gunsmith, so his trigger is a slap trigger for sure. His was a 2-pound trigger that he modified to 1.5.
Oh geez.
Cringe. Yeah, see, bro.
I like 3-pound triggers, right around there. 2.5 to 3 range is perfect for what I like to do. And that's my preference. But so the difference is with this is it's a P320 upper, so a 4.7 inch upper. But what they did for me, and they're going to be able to do for pretty much anybody if they want to customize it or send their 320 in. And once they get some parts, everything is because of the whole COVID crap and pandemic garbage, everybody's struggling getting any parts, and that's including them. So they're not able to meet the demand that, at least for the people that have contacted me. I posted a video on YouTube about this pistol, about these pistols that they made for me, because I got a little bit of hype posting some build drills I did and how fast these can run they look like an open gun, because when I shoot it, it doesn't have any muzzle flip at all, hardly. My dot doesn't leave the screen. It just moves around a lot, but that's just the vibration from it running. So I'll get back to it. What he did that's different in this 9mm, and I shoot 9, is instead of a stock barrel, he fitted it with a bull barrel.
That's
so
nice.
he had to cut it out a lot more on the inside, and took a little bit of weight off on the inside, and then cut it for my optic, which is I'm running the Romeo Max 3, which is a nice big window.
Dude, that's gangster as fuck.
It's a nice big window.
That kind of looks like the RMO a little bit. SRO.
The RMO, which was a
SRO.
Yeah, okay.
SRO.
So the SRO, I haven't had one, but from what I've seen, those things like stick way out, and they almost go right over the chamber. From what I've heard, especially on the SIGs. So that's another thing. He moved it back, so he cut it as far back as he can, and that avoids any of the gases getting on your lens, which isn't a big deal until you shoot. I got to shoot like 500 rounds now with this one. With the Max 5, it's a little bit, with the X5, it sits a little bit closer. So I'd wipe it off before I even reached 100 rounds. I would just wipe the lens. It's no big deal, but it's just nice to know that you don't have to worry about it.
So you don't get a whole lot of blowback dirt on your optic.
Right. So, and then the last thing I'll get into, which is what he's known best for, I think, is the triggers. So this is, you can't obviously feel it yourself, but you can kind of see the take up. That's the wall, and then it's nice clean break. So there's the reset, and then
and he only works on SIGs, huh?
No, SIGs and HK.
Oh,
so
man.
He does the HKs too.
This dude's gonna force me to buy a different gun to get work done.
So, and the reason for that, and I won't get into it too much, but him and several others that are kind of major players in the trigger world, they kind of came to a verbal agreement, from what I've been told from them, a verbal agreement where they won't. I think like who is it? I'm not going to remember the names of who these guys are, but they're major players in the industry that make triggers. And one of them took Smith & Wesson and Glock or something, and the other one took, I don't know, CZs or something. So they just decided to take the major markets, and they kind of verbally agreed what they would build for, so that they're not stepping on each other's toes, because there's,
that's actually really fucking awesome that three small mom and pop businesses working in an industry decided that, hey, I'll focus on this, you focus on that, I'll focus on this. We can get our money and we don't have to step on each other's toes and compete.
Right. And then they help each other too. And that's a huge reason. Once I went out to like my local range, it's pretty intimidating. So if you haven't shot competition and you love shooting like I did, and I wasn't shooting much before that, but watching YouTube, cleaning your guns, you see these guys shoot fast, running around with their gay holsters, but whatever, they're fast, so it's cool. But you're just like, oh, I can do that. You go out and you do little stuff, you shoot cans or whatever at just an open field, and you kind of move around and you feel stupid. You feel dumb dropping a mag on the ground, because it's like, why would I do that? Now it's ruined. But you realize once you get in the competition world, that doesn't matter. Well, the first time you go out to shoot competition, you kind of, for me anyways, it's pretty intimidating, because you think you're Rambo until you get out there, and now.
What just happened?
Oh no!
What happened? I can still hear you. I can still hear you. Yeah. You just lost your video. You just got to turn your camera back on. everything freaked out on my screen. Whatever happened, I don't know. But we're still good. We're rolling. You just got to turn your camera back on.
Okay. Well, I can hear you, and as long as you can hear me, I hit my camera, but it's not showing. But that's all right.
There he goes.
That might be the problem. But anyways, so I show up out there, and like I said, intimidating. You got an RO, range officer, that's going to run you on this course of fire. They kind of explain it to you that everybody's nice, and then you get out there, and now it's your turn, and you're like, are these people going to watch me? You know, because then this timer goes off, and you start shooting it, and all you're thinking is like, this is harder than you thought, you know, and then you got people watching you, you get done. But the great thing is they're such good people that they help you if you're struggling. They make you feel better, even though you just sucked. Your confidence goes way down, but they build you back up. They're good people. And that's the whole shooting community in a nutshell.
No, absolutely, man. And it's it's when it comes to the competition shooter world, I know that there's a bunch of competition shooters out there. There's a bunch of different leagues and stuff like that. But overall, it's kind of a really small community, as you were talking about, just in trigger jobs. You know what I'm saying? So if they want it to survive and they want it to keep going, they need these new shooters and these folks. They need more people to get into it. So it only makes more sense to be a tight niche community and take care of each other, because otherwise it turns into nothing, and then where the sponsors go away. And yeah, man, I've talked to a bunch of competition shooters, and that's the reason why I've always wanted to get into it. I can't afford ammo like you guys do. This guy is sitting in front of reloading machines. Now, right behind him, if he runs out of ammo, he just goes to his buddy's house and goes ka-chunka, 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 and it just makes bullets. Me,
well, that's the key right there.
I have to wait in line at Academy, right, to get ammo. And then when I get in there, the ammo I want is gone, or I go online to order it. And if they have it, they've marked it up $300 or $400. Dude, I seen 1,000 rounds of 5.56 for $1,000 the other day.
Oh my gosh! Yeah,
mind you, people,
it's horrible right now.
Mind you, people, I was paying $300 to $350 for 1,000 rounds. If I bought a pallet of ammo, the cheapest I paid for 1,000 rounds was like $280. $280. Ammo's a nightmare right now. Can you load me some 9mm?
That's what I got over. This is what I'm running. Typically I shoot berries, but berries is way behind, as is everybody. But I was able to get some black bullets. Little plug for them, but they seem to shoot fine. They're just a coated bullet, so it's a lead bullet, but it's just got a little coating on it. So it's cheaper. Instead of like berries is a plated bullet, so it's still a lead mold, and then they plate it, copper plate it. Actually, these are berries. These are 380s berries, and that's typically I run 9mm of these, just a plated bullet.
Yeah, I mean 380 is 9mm, pretty much.
Well, yeah, but it won't. I don't think those would run out of my gun very well.
Oh, I mean, I'm talking about. But well, yeah. Actually, you could take a 380 and put it in a 9mm, and it'll fire. It just won't cycle. What I'm saying is the chamber's pretty much the same.
Right. It's pretty close. But anyways, yeah, it's just a nightmare for everybody, including myself. So you got to do things like that. You know, order something else just because you need something if you want to practice or if you want to shoot. So, but it's hopefully getting better. I know another sponsor of mine is doing some good stuff. Shooters World Powder. And that's all I've ever run in there is their powder, clean shot, out of pistols. They have other powders for rifles, pretty much anything you would need powder wise, including black powder. How
clean of a burn is it? Like Winchester white box being the worst, and Hornady being top 5. Like, you know what I mean? Let's say Hornady's 10.
Oh, it's better than anything off the shelf.
Bro, have you ever shot white box?
Yes. I shot a lot of white box.
You shoot 50 to 100 rounds of Winchester white box, and your gun starts pooping black shit onto your hands, like it's weed resin coming out of a marijuana pipe, which you would know about too.
So,
but you can tell them why you know about that.
Oh yeah, I work for a sheriff's department in here in California. So yeah, we get, but I don't even, weed used to be a big deal. Actually, that was before I started. Even since I've started with them, it's already been legal, and I mean, federally it's not, but of course our state, nothing's a crime, so it's nobody cares. but yeah, the white box. Speaking of that, shooting a lot of that. I would have to, a trick that I would do it, I'd drop a little bead of oil on my feed ramp because it would always gum up after 100 or so rounds. And I'd drop a little bit of oil on that or wipe it off and then put oil it just to keep it running longer so you didn't have a jam. Dude, the gun would run fine. It's just the ammo, it's the powder.
That ammo is terrible, man. I made the mistake of I seen it on sale one day and I was like, it's Winchester, it should be all right. And man, I bought 500 rounds of it, man. And I'm shooting my AR, and I got my AR is a Rice. It's a Daniel Defense DDM4V7P. It's a really good rifle, right? Actually, I don't even think that's the rifle I was shooting. Anyways, about after 500 rounds,
we would never know.
I had a after almost 500, 400, 350. I don't know. I had a failure to eject, and I was like, what just happened? That doesn't happen with my guns. It just. Mm-hmm. I spend good money on my weapon systems. I don't buy the cheap shit. I got over $3,000 in this one rifle. I spend money on my shit. And so when I had a failure to eject, I was like, what's going on here? So I went to pull the bolt back and tried to stick my fingers in there and pull it back. Nothing. I break it open and I try to stick a knife in there to nothing. And so finally I take a cleaning rod and stick it in there and tap on it with the magazine and knock it out. And I look in there, and it had created so much black gook, and I had run it so hot that black gook started to turn into a hard concrete, crusty shit. And basically, it had glued the shell to the bore, man. Just after at 400 rounds, my weapon was rendered non-functional shooting that shit. I'll never buy it again. I definitely don't want to be in a gunfight with that shit.
Right. I don't have anything that bad as far as when it comes to pistols, but pistols are a little bit, I don't know. I think they're more apt to work through that stuff, depending on what you're using, of course. So a Glock's not going to have, it can get dirty, and it's not, you're not going to have a problem with the Glock or even the 320s. They don't, that's why I went with so back when I was getting, gun sponsorship, I was kind of given a choice money wise, or given a kind of overall how much I could spend of their money to acquire what I wanted. So you need two pistols. It's good to have a backup. So you need just in case something goes down, you're not out of the match or whatever. So I was going to go with CZ, or I was thinking about it, and but just to set up one of those pistols, or just to get one of those pistols, would have been near the price that I just to get two, and it was X5s at the time. It wasn't these 320s; it was X5s. So that's why I went with the SIGs, because I could set them up completely for competition for the price of one CZ. But like I said, CZs are great. There is a little bit difference with that single double action, or that double action first pull that takes some getting used to, but they're great pistols.
I mean, if you already got your trigger guy, and I would just stick with SIG if I were you.
Oh yeah, no, I plan to. It was definitely the right choice. Looking back in retrospect, I mean, it was kind of it was up in the air at the time. I didn't know what it would turn into or could turn into, but it definitely was the right road to take for me. Because then I was able to meet Bruce Gray through it, and Gray Guns, and that's just opened up a whole new world for me.
You never know. Maybe like Glock or CZ or somebody to come up to you and want to sponsor you, and then you'll have to be like, let me get back with you that. And then you can message SIG and be like, hey, I shoot your guns. What's up?
Oh, I don't think they, SIG's so big. It's like, and another thing is you don't know, they got a guy already at the top of the game in the same division I shoot, which I haven't been able to go head to head with yet. And he's actually the guy on, I use his optic. The guy that I want to beat is right there, Max Michel. He's a great guy. He's there. He's one of the best shooters in the world. And it's funny. He's the guy I was watching on YouTube before I got into this that I was learning from. And then now I'm shooting in USPSA where he shoots in the same division he shoots. And hopefully next year at Nationals or one of the area matches, Nationals is like our Super Bowl. Area matches are kind of like the semifinals or whatever you want to call it. There's 8 areas in the U.S. and those are the big regional matches, every year. So, anyways, hopefully I get to go up against him and see if I can come out on top with his own, using basically his optic with his name on it.
So is there a ranking system is there a ranking system in the divisions?
There is, but it's slightly skewed. So you can go on USPSA, the website, and there is a top 20, and it shows the top 20 ranking in class. It divides it up. It divides it up in divisions and class. So I think there's 8 or 9 divisions. The one I shoot is carry optics, and it actually pops up first, so it's kind of cool. And classification is everywhere from so you could be when you start shooting USPSA, you're unrated, you have no class, so you'll be a U, and until you shoot 8 of them, and then it takes your average 8 classifiers. That is, to clarify, and classifiers are a standard that it's a stage that's built. It's mostly a stand and shoot, and it just basically it's a draw and shoot. A lot of times there's reloads or single hands. There's a bunch of different ones, but they're set up the exact same every time. So that way it's nationally, it's done across the nation by all the shooters, and they have a percentage. So you get hit factor, and it's your time, it's your hits divided by time. So the points that you accumulate on your paper targets or on your steel targets, divided by the time it takes you to accomplish that with the timer, the buzzer, the buzzer that I'm sure you're aware of.
Yeah, shot timer, right?
Shot timer. So
what shot timer do they use? Like what brand shot timer? I was looking at them.
God.
I was looking at them just so I could potentially improve my shooting time. Now, I'm not a competition shooter. I do the tactical thing, close quarters. Yeah. I train like if I'm in the shit, what am I going to have to shoot at distance wise? And that's the distance that I shoot at.
Right. So there's a bunch of different brands they use. So any reputable brand is okay, but I think the majors they all use the same one. And I want to say it's like a Pro Shot or something. I don't have one. I have like I have a smaller one. I should have brought it, but Pro. See, I'm terrible. What I did is I ordered the cheapest one that I've seen others use, and it works. So that's all I care about. But it's basically just a timer. It gives you an audible buzzer, and then it records every shot, and your time is your last shot on the stage. From the buzzer is your start, your last shot is your finish, and it captures that time, and that's really all that matters. When you're practicing, you can break it down from shot to shot. So if you want to know how fast your splits are, shots between shots, or how fast your shot reload to the next shot is, it's a great tool for that as well. You can also set par time. So if I want to draw and fire a shot, I can set a par time. So if I just say 3 seconds, from that buzzer, I want to be able to draw and fire on a target that's 30 yards away, and I want to do it under 3 seconds. You can set that time in there, and it'll give you an audible buzz, or the same sound. It'll give you the beep to start and a beep to finish. And then if you made it in that time, it'll tell you the time that you took that shot. So you can really, yeah.
So the timer that you use, what's the ballpark price range for one of those?
Between $90 and $100.
Dude, that's not bad.
It's not bad. It's well worth it if you're trying to. It's probably the best tool that you could purchase to help better your fundamentals, because you can use it for not just draw shooting. You can shoot, like it said, it'll tell you your time. A big thing that helped me progress, which I still suck at, is my reloads. So there's no magwell in these. You can look at. I mean, the division I shoot doesn't allow a magwell, so it's stock.
Okay, yeah.
It's stock. This division doesn't allow it, so I've got to get it in there as fast as I can.
That's something I might be able to help you with, is reloads, because I shoot a stock gun, but I see a lot of competition shooters go to reload their weapons, and some of them like to keep down. I think that's actually the rule. You have to keep your weapon down range when you reload, or you can bring it into your workspace. Can you bring it into your workspace?
Yes. Here's the deal with competition. They have rules, and they're good rules, because you're dealing with such. It's called the 180. You know, there's more rules than that, but the big one is the 180. So if this is my down range, my 180 is off the back baseline, or back. Sometimes it'll be the front, but it basically it's 180 degrees from the back baseboard that you're starting on, and so you can't break that 180 with your muzzle. And I'll use a pistol, so I can't break it this way. So if I can't go to holster and point it behind me, I've got to holster safely without breaking the 180. So if I'm shooting a target that's over there on the 180, I can't go past it. That would be breaking it, and I'd be disqualified. So the big thing with reloading for competition shooters is if I'm right-handed, I'm traveling to my left, and here's the 180 line. If I'm running this way and I'm doing a reload, all of a sudden I'm pointing it past the 180. So that's what you have to be aware of. So if I'm running this way, that's kind of the hard thing to get used to, is you do keep that pistol pointed down range so you don't break the 180, and you're kind of cheating it this way. It's not real life. In real life, of course, there is no 180 because you're engaging a threat. So
I see
it's something to get used to.
I see how that could be complicated, because I know you guys probably load up your magazines to a certain. Do they tell you how many rounds to put in a mag? Like they expect a reload, or are you allowed to have big fat mags?
So it depends on your division. They have limited. So it's production division is basically what I'm running without an optic. And my gun I could run production. If I took that optic off and put iron sights on, I could run production with that pistol. But you're limited to 10 rounds in production. In limited 10, which is what it is, that's basically a 1911. You're only allowed 10 rounds. Single, that's kind of the predominant pistol, is a 2011 in that. Single stack, which is majorly just 1911s only, because you're not allowed to have a double stack anything. It's just, so 1911s are single stack division. It's basically 1911 division, and those are limited to 10 rounds. Everything else has, instead of limiting how many in your magazine, they limit the length of your magazine. So my division allows 140 millimeter magazines, which means, look at that, I'm prepared. So this magazine so these pistols come with magazines. With the X5s, I got the 20 rounders. Well, you take the plastic thing off, and another sponsor plug, Springer Precision. I put a Springer Precision base pad on there. It's aluminum base pad, and I can get 23 rounds in here. So it goes from 20 to 23 just by taking the putting their base pad on, and all it is it's flat. So now I've got 23 rounds in the magazine with the required length, and that's for my division. Same with limited division. And if you've never shot USPSA, there's a lot to it. So I'm still learning about it. I've only been shooting it 3 years now, but I'm still there's so many different aspects to it. So I'm just trying to.
How are you doing in the competitions? Is there any chance that you could pull a win out on some of these top ranked guys? How far away are you skill wise, confidence wise? Like if you had to put a projection out there, like right now I'm here, I expect in a year these dudes are going to be worried about me. Like what's the time limit? Because I've seen you shoot, man. I've seen how fast you are. I feel like they need to be worried, man.
Thank you.
I feel like they need to be worried.
Well, yeah, it's I think I'm there ability wise. I haven't shot a ton of matches, and I definitely haven't shot a lot of majors. So last year I shot they consider anything above a level 1. I've shot overall, if you count it, you can actually go on Practice Score is an app we use that gives our that we use for all our matches. And so it's all, anybody can go look at anybody who shoots USPSA and see what they've actually done and how they've finished and everything. So you could look me up that way. But I want to say I've shot less than 100 matches for sure, somewhere in the 70 range, I think. And I've only shot, I'd have to look at it. I've shot less than 10 majors. I know that. So this year I shot 2 level 2s and I've shot 0 level 3s, but it's a screwed up year for everybody. I won't be able to shoot any majors level 3 or up until next year. Last year I was able to shoot, I think, 3 level 2s and 2 level 3s, which are the area matches or the level 3s. My screen went black. But can you hear
good.
me?
Yeah, I can see you and we're talking. So, you're good.
Okay, so the level 2s, I won 2 out of the 3 last year that I shot, and I took 3rd at the area matches, and I basically lost to national champions at the area matches. And there's a lot I felt I could work on, so I felt like I have a lot of room for improvement, but at the same time, I wasn't far from them. So that was a good feeling, and I took a lot from that. This year, I shot the same. I only shot 2 level 2 matches. The Oregon Open, which is it's a pretty big match. I think there was like 275 shooters, and I won my division, and I think I took second or third overall in that one. I think, something like that. So other division, including all the division,
man. That's impressive. You said how many shooters?
I think there's 270 something shooters in that one, and I won my division. I think there was 80 something ish in my division, and then 270 something overall. So I was happy. That was a good performance. And then I felt like I shot better here in California, down in Sacramento or just outside of Sacramento, was the Golden Bullet, which I won both those matches last year, and I was able to go back and win them again this year. So I was really happy with that. And that one, I think I took 6 overall in same amount of shooters, just under 300 there. And then about the same, 80 something in my division, and I won my division. So I wasn't able to get to an area match this year, but next year I'm going to hit a couple, and then hopefully I'm going to plan to go to nationals. Nationals is where I get to meet the best of the best. So area matches, you run into some top guys, but everybody goes to the nationals. The who's who basically of USPSA. So that'll really be the test. Last year I went, sad story. It was a miracle I got there, but I DQ'd myself with the 180, not on a reload. I was running backwards, and as I brought the pistol up to shoot close to the 180, it just kind of got over the line and DQ. So it is what it is. Learning experience, heartbreaker, but I was actually at that time. I think
it happens to almost all competition shooters at least once. Yeah, that 180.
It does.
I can see how that 180 is tricky as fuck because you're nervous. You got people watching. It's a competition, and for somebody like you, I don't know if you had sponsors at the time, but even if you didn't, you were looking to get sponsored, and that's one of those things that everybody's like, you know what I mean? So do me a favor real quick, man. Explain. Go ahead and keep talking about that, but I want you to eventually get to explaining the different levels, like you said, level 2 and all that. Okay. And yeah, go ahead.
So, well, just to finish that part of it was, I was doing well, and that was nationals. That is the biggest match we have in the U.S. or internationally. And I was, at the time, I only completed, I think, 8 stages, or that was my 8th stage. And at the time, the Practice Score app has a projection of how you're doing based on everybody who shot the stages. And at that time, I was projected, it'll project out what you'll finish if you continue shooting the way you're shooting. Of course, it's not perfect, but it's a good, it's a good indicator. And I was projected third national for that match at that time. Of course, there's 20 stages, and I only completed 8 of them. So I was a long ways away from actually it was just good. I was trying to take a positive way after it took so much to get there, and then I DQ. So I was trying to take a positive from that. That okay, I'll get back here, and that was 2019. I didn't go. I'm not going to go this year. It's in Florida, and it's all screwed up this year. I got too much going on. But next year, I'm going to try to get out there wherever it is and try to make some waves, see what I can do. And I think I'll be ready mentally. Surprisingly, I'm less nervous at the big ones than I am at the little ones. The local ones were people I know, and they're really, they're not a big deal. You got 40 shooters, maybe 50, on a good one, but typically it's between 30 and 40 shooters. But there's some good stiff competition where I'm at, and I get more nervous about those ones. And then I get to a bigger match. So back to the levels. So level 1 is like your typical local match. So a lot of clubs run level 1s, and those are like monthlies. What's that? Go ahead. This is my loader.
Hey man, how's it going?
This is Mike. So yeah, this is his company, TCF Ammunition, that had him wearing. Yeah. And this is his workshop. That's why I'm here, because this ain't my place. He's taught me how to pull the handle. I don't know how to load. The thing start doing that, and I just like, Mike, something happened. But anyway, so level 1s are just like they sound. They're just like your basic small match. Level 2s there's a lot more requirements, and they have a lot of higher ranked officials there that have to run it. I won't get too far into that, mainly because there's a lot to it I don't know that I'm still learning. But those are a lot. They're open up to, I think they try to cap them where they get around 300 shooters typically on those. Level 3s are typically the area matches, which are, like I said, there's eight area matches in the U.S. And I couldn't tell you what they all include because I'm still learning. But I'm in area 1 and 2. Being in California, I think area 2 is my area, and area 1 is like Oregon, north of us, including Washington and some other states. So I've shot those 2 last year, and I plan to shoot them this year. It just didn't work out. Area 1 was just last week. Due to work, I got called we had fires locally, so I stayed and helped with the fire some overtime. So, but next year, new year, and hopefully everything calms down and things can get back on track, because I think I'm shooting better now than I was last year, and I did pretty well last year. So areas matches, kind of like the semifinals or finals before nationals. Nationals is just once a year, and that's, I think I don't know if they cap it or not, but I think there's like 500 shooters typically that go to that one, and that's from all around the world. They come to shoot that, and it's kind of the who's who. So as far as the rankings that we were talking about, so USPSA has by division, they have your class. So anywhere from a D shooter would just be like a beginner probably, and it's all based on percentages, based on these they're called classifiers, stages that are the same set up throughout the nation. So they have a diagram that you follow, and you measure it out to make sure it's the exact same. So depending on how you shoot that, it gives you your classification. So anywhere from D, C, B, A, all the way up to, and then the top ranked guys are masters and grandmasters. So right now, I've made grandmaster with Carry Optics Division, and right now nationally in in that division, I'm ranked, I think, 9th. So I'm happy with that. But it's a little skewed because those are typically stand-and shoots, and most of what we do is moving, running around. I think you've seen some of the stages. It's a lot of movement, a lot of reloading, shooting, and the classification system is based solely on almost just standing and shooting. So it's just the fundamentals of drawing, shooting, reloading, single hand shooting. It's these really basic skills. So it's a little odd to me that they haven't incorporated what we do most of the time into the ranking system. I think it's going to come eventually, but right now that's just how it is.
Man, so have you ever shot in Texas at a competition?
I haven't. I've gone to I've been to Oregon, haven't been to Washington yet. Been to Arizona, Nevada, and Utah. And that's it so far. That was pretty much all last year. And then this year, like I said, I've gone to Oregon, and that's about it. So
yeah, man,
next year, I'm hoping a year.
It's so fucked up in California, man. I couldn't imagine a sheriff deputy having time to do anything.
Yeah, it's which is kind of leads this year. I mean, it kind of worked out in my favor because I started in the jail for my department, and they pulled me out and paid my way through the academy to put me on the streets. So I knew going into this year it was going to be sacrificing my competition. It's a hobby, really. It doesn't. I don't get paid for it. There's only a few people that actually make a living doing it, so it's a hobby, and I'm fortunate that I don't really pay. It doesn't cost me really much of anything because of I've got great sponsors. So that's why I want to plug them and
man, plug all your sponsors right now and tell everybody where they can find them. I definitely want you to do that. Yeah. And plug yourself. I know you said you had a YouTube channel. You got a Facebook page. I do have a
YouTube channel. Yep, and it's all my name. Facebook, for me, it's Facebook. It's just Isaac Lockwood. Instagram, it's my name, and then shooting, training, competing. I'm new to Instagram a little bit. I've had it for a little bit, but I'm not good at it by any means. So it seems like it's the same thing. I don't know, but whatever. I've got one. And then YouTube is just my name as well. So I do have some stuff as far as on YouTube, some content with, I taught myself through using YouTube by watching the top guys, but then I've also kind of learned some things that I do that I haven't heard talked about. So I'll post a lot of my match videos on there, but I'll also post like just content on like how I grip it, which is a little bit different than from what I've ever heard. But then my sponsors, which have enabled me to do what I love to do, Gray Guns, as we've talked about, which I've got my guns from, and they just take huge care of me. Then I've got Springer Precision base pads. I also run a Springer Precision mag release. It's a paddle. I really love it. They've got they've got a ton of stuff for Glock too, and they've got stuff for Smith & Wesson, the M&Ps, and all that. So those guys are online. I've also got TCF Ammunition, where I'm at right now. That's how I get all my ammo. I'm working on Barry's bullets. So if anybody from Barry's is watching, that's what I'm holding out for. I've had some other offers from other companies, but that's what I prefer to shoot. So that's what I do. Then I've also got It's Jerky, which is local here, but they're getting bigger, and they're online, so you could probably order online too. And that's great jerky, and that's kind of a friend of mine.
So what you're saying is all of my YouTube people and Twitch people need to contact Barry's Bullets and say, hey, we got a shooter using your stuff that wants to be sponsored.
yeah, you could do that. They do sponsor shooters. I am not one of them yet.
Is it you said Barry's Bullets, so is it barrysbullets.com or?
I believe so. Yeah, berriesbullets.com. But they have some, as far as for competition wise, they're the dominant company. There's other great companies out there, but the reason why I like, they're just so consistent. So I'll shoot something like a cast bullet, or with a coated bullet, or and sometimes the coating might not be enough. It'll leave some leading, and then you got to clean it out. Well, a good trick for anybody out there, if you have a bunch of lead bullets, what's that? Oh, I won't. If you have a bunch of lead bullets and it leaves some leading, you use some of these Berries bullets or any copper plated bullet, and it'll actually clean it out, so it's less cleaning. So, and then another huge sponsor.
You run the lead and just pack a copper at the end of the round, at end of the mag.
Yeah, just load a mag of copper, or, and then it'll clean it right out. So then another huge sponsor that I use is Shooter's World powder. So that's what's loaded up in all these. That's pretty much all. That's all he uses. That's all I ever used. And that, man, I mean, I shot these today. Just went out and, I mean, I did wipe off. I'll be honest. I wiped that barrel off a little bit just because I knew I was going to show it to you. But I mean, these things, I mean, it stays clean. And I probably shot about 300 or 400 rounds. So 300, 400 rounds through that pistol mainly. The other pistol I just switch to when it gets hot. But that's kind of the nice thing about having two. You just heat up a pistol if you're running something, but you don't want to stop. Switch it out. Go to the next one.
And both of your pistols are set up exactly the same.
Yes, they're the exact same.
Is there a difference between the two? Yes, there is.
Well, there's always going to be a difference because of springs, and how it just ends up being fitting. So this one I showed you, this is my main one, mainly because this trigger, I just love the way this trigger is, and realistically, it's in the striker. I've narrowed it down to the striker. So the trigger is the exact same. So you saw this one already, but I'll do it again. That nice clean break. But this one with this striker, and I've tried other strikers, but that is the best striker. That it'll break the same on that as it will on this trigger if I were to switch it. But with this striker, for whatever reason, just listen to it's a little more thuddy.
Yeah. We hear it for sure.
Yeah. So still a great trigger. This one's actually lighter with this striker, for whatever reason, is a little bit lighter of a trigger than that one. That one just has a clean wall and a clean break that I prefer. But I don't know what's going to happen when I, have to switch strikers if that one fails or whatever. Hopefully it doesn't, because it's just my favorite.
Is it the same brand striker? It's just one of them's a little bit different?
Yeah. They're just, SIG. It's SIG stocks. It's a stock striker from SIG. It just happened to be perfect.
I know exactly what you're talking about, man. I have two ARs, and they have the same bolt carriers, same firing pins, same trigger systems. And for whatever fucking reason, one of them breaks a little differently than the other. And I laid them out. I polished everything. I've cleaned everything up. I've took a caliper on everything, trying to figure out what it is. You figured it out. I haven't. I have no idea. They're both quality. One is a BCM upper, quality upper, and the other is my Daniel Defense. I run Daniel Defense bolt carriers in both of them, and I run the Geisley Super. I think it's Super 3 gun. Is that what it's called? Triggers. Yeah, I run a Geisley trigger in both of them, and
nice. Those are good ones.
But man, the BCM has a different break. It breaks differently. So I know it's not the upper, it's not the bolt, anything like that. The lowers are exactly the same, just different brand lowers. And one of them has a different break than the other. And I cannot figure it out. I changed out the IDS springs. All my springs are the same brand. I bought new springs.
But they're not. When you get those springs, if you, I don't have I know they make some gauges where you can put them in and kind of test them and see what the difference is or the weights or whatever. I just straight grab them and I can feel them. And if you feel enough of them, you'll be sensitive enough to where it's like, that's, even though it's the same poundage, it's not. It'll be different. So
yeah, I can't figure it out. Everything seems legit the same, and I just have a different break on one. And I mean, realistically, I mean, I don't have an issue with it. It's not an issue. The difference is so subtle that when I'm shooting and I'm in a panic and I'm trying to improve this run at shooting, I don't really notice it. I notice it when I stop and I pick one up and I'm like, and then I pick it up. And when I'm sitting here, if I were to sit here and pick them up and dry fire them, I notice it then. I really don't notice it during the shooting, but it still drives me crazy. I can't figure it out, man.
Right. And that's the same. I don't notice it when I'm shooting it in practice. I don't notice it when I'm actually shooting. I just notice it. It's just right here. You know, I know it's different. So all of a sudden I think that this one's a little bit better, but that's always how it is. You're always going to prefer one over the other. I don't think there's any way around it, but yeah. A couple more sponsors. I know I got Denny Bar Company, another friend of mine. If you're ever in California, Northern California, closer to Oregon, they've got a great little restaurant in Etna, California. Denny Bar Company. It's a distillery, and it's a restaurant as well. So great food. You can look it up. The Denny Bar Company is also online, so you can look them up that way. But if you get out for whatever reason in Southern Oregon or Northern California, definitely stop there. You won't regret it. Just take the wife or something on the anniversary. It's a nice little place. Really cool. A lot of heritage there. A little tiny town, but I love it. I love it up there. It's a nice little drive for me, anyways, to get out of town.
So you being sponsored by them, how does that go when you show up at their restaurant?
I've only made it up there. So it was pretty cool. I took my wife there, and I don't know if I gave them one of my old jerseys because I've switched some sponsors, or not switched, but I've dropped one sponsor. So I gave them one of the jerseys, and I don't know if they hung it up or not. That's what they said in their bar, but I haven't been up there since because it's like 2 hours away for me, and I've been really busy. But we went up there, and it's pretty cool. The manager, so my friend owns it. He's a co-owner of the restaurant and distillery, and so I let him know. He said let him know when we're going, so I let him know, and they took care of us. The manager shows up. They gave us a tour, even though they're not giving tours because of this whole stupid pandemic. So they gave us a tour of it and the history of it. It was pretty cool. It's pretty neat. It's a gold town. So there's a lot of history there it was pretty nice. Enjoyed it.
Man,
it's not like they don't know me.
How did you wind up with a sponsor that far away? How does that even work? That's like me.
Well,
that's like if I were a UFC fighter, right? And some lingerie company decided, like, I picked up a lingerie company as a sponsor. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Well, this is what's going to kill you. It's a distillery and a restaurant. I eat. I don't drink, though. I don't drink at all. I don't drink beer. I don't drink anything.
That's gay as fuck. California sheriff's deputy, and you don't have any demons. That's a good thing. I'm just fucking with you, but it's like I feel like that if I was a police officer in California, that I would have some sort of vice. But luckily for you, it's just shooting guns.
It is shooting and my kids, you know.
So that's the key, right? If I want to afford ammo, I got to put down the beer.
That would help. That would would help.
Yeah, put down the beer and good luck on finding ammo.
yeah.
It's a mess right now, man. This is the thing, man. This whole COVID-19 thing happened, and every single Democrat that was against firearms, ban all guns, blah blah blah. Right. Then COVID-19 happened, and they thought that a zombie apocalypse was coming, and there was like 100 million firearms sold in just a fucking few months in this country, and you know for a fact it's all these first-time buyer Democrats that thought a zombie apocalypse was on its way.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, actually, I have a lot of friends. So I used to play disc golf. If you ever frisbee
No,
golf, froth,
hey,
whatever you
no,
want to call
it's
it.
super fun. Nothing wrong with it, man.
I'm very competitive. So whatever I do, I always take it too far. So shooting was just for fun until I went to the range and I saw they were shooting competition and I'm like, yeah, I'll try this. And that's all it takes. So before that, I was playing disc golf. And yes, I was ranked, whatever. But anyways, so I had all these friends on Facebook that, from disc golf, and it's highly liberal, mostly hippie. But anyways, I did it for the competition. I love to. It's pretty cool if you just take out the culture of it and look at, like, it's getting better too. If you go on YouTube, you can see some of the competition, the tournaments there, and it's kind of cool when you see that disc go 600 feet. You know, it's not a frisbee, it's a disc, so it goes a lot further and a lot faster. So anyways, I got all these friends, they're all hippies and liberals, and all of a sudden every shit went crazy and I get these messages. Hey, what's a good gun for this? What's a good gun for that? Because they see that I'm shooting now. And all these are the same people that were, all about Hillary, they're all about. So it's like, oh, okay. And one of them specifically, I had a conversation because I would hit, and I knew better than to talk politics with them because none of them, I shouldn't say none of them because I'm category, but basically, the
Generalizing,
majority.
but that's what we do. We generalize, man. It's the only way you can really have a conversation. Right. Everybody generalizes. Don't feel bad about it. It's a human thing. It's a human. thing.
Right.
That's what we do.
Right. So it's their idea. I'm all for working hard and earning everything. I am not okay with, and that's kind of what I'm teaching my kids, especially. I'm not okay with getting something for nothing. So like as far as these sponsors go, so these sponsors, when I go after them, it's the same thing. I tell them what I would like to get, but I tell them what I'm going to do to get it or what I'd like to do before I get it. So that way they let me show you what I can do, and if it seems of value, then we can talk and make a deal. And that's kind of how I've earned some of the sponsorships I've gotten, and they're gracious. So they do more than what I'm asking for initially. So like I said, but in the disc golf world, I get off on tangents if you haven't noticed, but
no, that's great. It's great for a podcast, man. The less I have to use my moron brain, the better.
So they kind of under the culture. It just, the majority is they're against the system of work, of you work for somebody and then you're a slave and then all this, and then you get drawn in it. It's like, no, you don't realize if that goes away, we lose our country. Like that's what we're built on is, hard work, hard labor. I mean, that's what got us where we are.
Competition.
Yeah, absolutely.
Best product.
Competition will earn it.
Yeah.
You want
best
something,
product,
you go out and earn
worker. It. No, 100%, man. That's the reason why capitalism is so beautiful, because it creates innovation, right? Just like in the competition shooter world, right? There's probably there's probably a handful of people you can go get trigger work done from, right? And you choose the person that you choose because of the quality of their work, their customer service, and the loyalty they have to you for the return of loyalty that you have to them. Now, if this country was any different, well, then there would just be this flatline standard for everybody. You're not getting paid any more or any less for the amount of work that you do. And what happens then is you don't have this company competing with this company. You don't have that company competing with this company. So then you have a bunch of half-ass fucking shit on the fucking market. And
it's that great phrase, the pursuit of happiness. So a lot of that for the majority of people, the pursuit of happiness is freedom and money. And money gives you freedom. So they want the freedom, but they don't. From what I've seen, that was always the argument, is like, you want the freedom to do what you want to do, but you don't want to do anything to earn it. You just want it. Well, that's not enough. You've got to, you know what I mean? Some people are fortunate to be born into it, but it doesn't matter. You're born the way you're born. And in America, we have the great opportunity to change that if you so choose. It's the pursuit of happiness. And that's what I think a lot of people forgot, and they want to condemn because they don't want to put in, they don't want to roll up their sleeves and do the dirty work for the most part. It's the culture that we're raised in, and it's terrible. And it's what I'm trying to teach my kids is you earn everything. Don't expect anything for nothing. If you want something, go out and get it. Make a plan and do it. Don't. It's everything's expected, and I'm of course not going to think of the right terms that I'm trying to, but it's a culture thing.
This is a pretty organic conversation. We're not going to get everything right, but real quick, I want you to keep talking, and I'm going to excuse myself because I have a bladder of a 3-year-old. And I just need you to hold it down for about 45 seconds. Let me
give me a topic.
Yeah. The way that your AR-15 is built that we haven't talked about.
My AR. All right, so my AR, it's pretty much it's a stock. It's a Bushmaster originally. This is gonna be bad because I've done stuff to it so long ago that I can't remember all the parts. I know I upgraded the bolt carrier to it and the trigger, and I don't remember the brands of those. I know. So originally when I started, I think I started with my AR like everybody does who isn't educated when it comes to ARs, and that would be go on eBay or go online and find the parts that look cool, and then find the cheapest version of that, order it, and put it on there. And then you build it, you think it looks cool, and then you go out to run it and you realize none of it works. It all falls apart, breaks down, one thing or another. So you end up having to pay more money for the right stuff anyways if you choose to keep it. But what you learn in the process of running it, actually running it through scenarios, getting the sling you want instead of the cheap 1 point. I don't like 1 point. I like 2 points, but that's preference because it'll sling to the side instead of down right between your legs. But and that was a learning experience. You got to run your equipment, and it depends on what you're using it for. So I went from a lot of crap, 45, which I still have a 45 optic on, and a big 6-power scope. I don't know. I was just basically dabbing into different worlds with it, just going with what looks cool. But now it's narrowed down where I've got just a small light on the front, a little tab to basically stabilize it, 2-point sling. Because I'm just using it mainly for close quarters, and it'll be good out to, I could be accurate out to say 200 yards with it. I've got a big Seymour, bigger Seymour on it, red dot. And then 45 angle, I've got another razor, the Vortex razor at a 45. So that would just be for the beneficial thing for that, for what it's more practical, is if you have to lay down, you can't have your rifle straight up. And a lot of you might know this. So the 45 is beneficial because you lay your mag to the side, and now you've got your optic and you can shoot under cars. It's better for actually using your weapon. The more situations you practice, the better, because then you're going to hone it to what is practical and beneficial for real life use versus just what looks cool. So it's still a process. I'm still going to be changing things, I'm sure, as I train more with it into the tactical world and clearing houses and things like that. But yeah, it definitely, I started like anybody else, just look at pictures. Oh, that looks cool. And then you start looking stuff up, try to get the cheapest stuff you can find.
Yeah, man, this is the thing, like with an AR-15 build, what I've learned, and I built a lot of ARs before I actually built one for myself. Kind of weird. I built an AR-15, right, for a friend of mine. He's like, build me an AR-15. Can you build? Because I knew how to shoot, and I knew a bunch about the rifle and I could take it apart and put it back together. So, hey, could you build me a rifle? And I was like, in my mind, I was like, if I build his, I can practice on other people's rifles before I spend a bunch of money on building mine, right?
That's a good point. Yeah.
And so I built a handful of rifles, and I never really had any issues with them. But along the way, I started to learn what worked with work and what worked best with what, and what you needed to spend money on and what you didn't need to spend money on. And what I come to find out is a stripped lower and a stripped upper have very little to do with how your weapon functions. Now, I realize that I'm wrong in the sense that you can get a stripped upper that is machined wrong. I realize that even with your lower, sometimes you get the buffer retainer pin out of place, which causes your buffer weight to crash into the buffer retainer or whatever. That's normally with like, what's that company? I know for sure Anderson has an issue like that. Critical Capabilities, I bought a lower from them that was like that. It's not that big of a deal. The fix is an offset retainer pin. But I always told everybody, spend your money on your barrel, your bolt carrier, and your trigger group. And depending on what caliber, you want to spend money on having the correct buffer spring and buffer weight. Once you have all that, I tell people to get a decent handguard. I'm all about light because I'm the more tactical guy. I'm more like, I carry a lot of gear with my unit. So when I put this rifle together, it was 5.5 pounds, 5.2, something like that before I ever put an optic on it. And that had a lot to do with being a 10.5-inch barrel, the handguard, super slim handguard, extra lightweight buffer tube, SB Tactical adjustable brace, which is pretty light. It's kind of heavy, but it's not too bad. But yeah, man, as long as you got a good trigger group, a good bolt carrier, and a good barrel, you're pretty set. I say just a good barrel, but man, a good gas block too, because some of those gas blocks out there are finicky as fuck. You can't. Okay, I take that back. You can't buy a shitty gas block. But there are cheap gas blocks out there that are absolutely commercial. You just got to know which ones to buy. Yeah.
And you were probably gone when I was talking about it, but yeah, I can't remember any of the brands because it was actually a while ago when I changed it all out. But that's exactly what I did. I changed the bolt carrier, the trigger, and the barrel. When I got I got it complete, and it had a Daniel Defense handguard on it, and I changed that out to a longer handguard. It's a 16-inch barrel, but the barrel was already upgraded, and of course, I can't remember all the brands.
Have you fucked with the carbon fiber barrels yet?
I have not. I've shot a couple with them though, and I like them. I don't see a problem with them, and I just like, if you heard me or not, on front, all I have is I've got a TLR 1 or 2. I can't remember which one I left on my AR. But a TLR 1 or 2, and then just it's a little Magpul. It looks like a little shark fin nub on the front, just to split my fingers wherever they land.
Yeah, just so you can pull it into your shoulder a little bit.
That's it. Yep. And I used to have everything. I used to have a vertical 45 degree, like real close, as I thought it looked cool, so I put it close. And this and that. And
let me interrupt you on that. So so you have a tool for every job when it comes to rifles and pistols. You know that being a sheriff's deputy. So the foregrip close to the mag, I don't like it either. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not a big fan of it. But what that is designed for is for more like a CQB weapon. It keeps your elbows in tight. Yeah. So when you're turning corners and stuff, you're not. It's just. I don't know. When I shoot, I'm in tight, elbows in tight. The only thing I do is I extend farther with my hand, and at most I do like a Strike Industries angular grip. Just that little hook, so I can pull it into my shoulder. But even on my Daniel Defense, it's because it's a 10.5-inch barrel. I don't have. When I finally start adding shit to this, like an IR laser or a flashlight, I'm not going to have room for a fucking grip too. I decided a few years ago that I was fuck foregrips, angle grips, and all that stuff. I'm just going to learn how to shoot without it. For what I do, I don't need it. Right? You
Right.
need it. You need every niche and advantage you can get over the next shooter. I understand that, but like for me personally, like my Daniel Defense right here, it's a slim handguard. I'm a little guy, but I'm only 30. I'm only 37, so I can get a good enough grip on it to where I don't feel like I need a foregrip. But I see why guys get a foregrip for CQB, close quarters combat. You're shooting under 15 meters. It's a good thing to have.
Well, I like what I got, and obviously I don't have it here, but it's only maybe 2 inches, little shark fin thing, the Magpul one, and I've got it out there for 2 reasons. One, it does help you suck it into your shoulder, but it's not so much that it's hanging down or going to get caught on anything. But that being said, it's enough to where if you're posting on something, like say if you're behind a truck, you're at a truck bed or something and you need to post on a door, and instead of having your arm, if you're posted for a while, as you can be, it's to be a standoff until SWAT gets there or makes entry. That little fin, you can push up against a wall or something, and it'll hold your gun steady and where it needs to be, so you can give your arm a break for something.
So you can also use your comms, use your radio.
Yeah.
Take a drink of water.
Just little things like that. It's just that much more helpful.
That's the one thing that I can't do. But what I figured out real quick, like when we do shooting drills with my unit, is I don't have that option anymore because I don't use a foregrip and I don't use that angler grip. So what I just do, if I need to keep eyes on target, but I need to change my mag or drink from my water bladder or something like that, I just push to the mag well.
I see.
I push to the mag well. It's not optimal up against all surfaces, especially like a car door. If I try to push up to the mag well, I'm going to hit my magazine first. It sucks, but it works. Right. It's not optimal. It's not optimal.
Adapt and overcome, right?
You work with what you got. Got. And my 16-inch rifle, it's not super heavy. It comes out under 8 pounds. But when you got a plate carrier, you have your battle belt, 3 mags on your plate carrier. You got a hydration bladder with 2 quarts of water in it. Then you got like a 50 pound pack. Like every single ounce. Like I got guys in my unit that when we all talk about gear, I'm always talking about weight. Like I got guys in my unit that just look like a commando out of a fucking movie, and I'm just like, bruh. You're prepared for everything, but we're just kicking in this one door and going home. You know what I mean? I got enough ammunition. Yeah. I got 3 mags on my belt and 3 mags on my chest. I can clear 4 or 5 houses with that amount of ammunition.
Yeah.
And probably never even fire a fucking round. These dudes are double stacked on their chest, got magazines on their belt. They got all this shit. I'm like plate carrier rifle, IFAK pistol. Let's get it.
Yeah.
Let's get it. But hey, I was gonna tell you, man. If you can ever make it to Texas, you tell some of your deputy buddies, man. I do a pistol and rifle class. I do a CQB class, and I'm very confident that whatever your department is teaching you, that I can give you a better edge with the class that I teach. The class that I teach, I learned from Israeli Special Forces. And they have the best CQB in the world. They're all about team.
I think I've seen some of those guys on YouTube.
They're all about team member safety. So it's not a whole lot of dynamic entry like most police departments. When they get a no-knock warrant, they stack up on the door, they ram some shit in, and they barge in. Well, in most cases, that's okay. My opinion on dynamic entry, I don't like the whole Breonna Taylor case, right? They had a no-knock warrant, but they knocked. But my opinion, that you shouldn't even be able to get a no-knock warrant unless somebody is at risk of death or immediate bodily harm. It puts the police officers in an unsafe situation, and it also puts the people on the other side in an unsafe situation because they don't know you're coming. They don't know who you are. It's really the worst part about it on no knock raids and dynamic entry for police officers. In my opinion, I'm not a cop, but as a guy that teaches CQB, like, they don't know you're coming, and you don't always get through the door with the first bang, right? So for all they know, you're a rival gang, you're a burglar. And if you don't bust that door open on the first try, and even if you do, people react, and that puts you guys at fucking risk, man. That puts you guys at risk. And that's the reason why I feel like my class and what I teach is better. What I teach is more based on working with the team member. Let's say you got 4 guys with you. You're 4 or 5 guys deep. You go into a building. There's no way that you could clear the building in the time needed if all 4 of you are smashing rooms, right? So you're going to split up into teams of 2, maybe teams of 3, or maybe you're even on your own. And that's the one thing a lot of departments across this nation, they don't teach police officers how to, well, I say they don't, but I know a bunch of sheriff's deputies, and I know a bunch of police officers. I got a bunch of cop friends. And most of them take my class, and I train with them, and they work with me. And they tell me what they're taught versus what I teach. It's completely inferior. Like, they run through, in this nation, they need cops so bad that the training and the schooling is so quick that you're basically out there in the streets, and you're doing the job.
You're learning on the job, mate.
You're on the job.
You're definitely learning on the job.
You're learning on the fucking job, which isn't a bad thing. In any trade in any trade in any industry, you're gonna learn the most doing the work. But I feel like the whole dynamic entry thing, which is predominantly taught to our police officers, is because it's quick and fast and easy, is the most dangerous. It's the most dangerous thing to only teach the police officers. It's a great tool to have. I don't think that dynamic entry is bad. I'm not against it, because sometimes you need it. Sometimes you got to get through that fucking door right fucking now, or somebody's going to be hurt or dead. But that is the only time I feel like we should be putting our police officers in this nation in that situation. They signed up for that. When it's time to save a life, that's when they put that person before their own lives. But there's a lot of situations where you don't have to use that tactic, but they still fucking do. And it causes so many fucking issues. Cops get hurt. And the Breonna Taylor case, I don't feel like that lady was innocent. They've been investigating her since 2016 because they found a dead body in her fucking rental car. And they went in after knocking, were shot at, returned fire. The whole nation erupted in anger. And the one thing that I've been saying on my channel and my podcast is, like, the one thing that people forget is that people see a guy in uniform with the badge and they're like, hey, that's a cop, that's a deputy. What they don't do, in which I preach this religiously, is that that's just a human being. That's just a person that's married and has fucking kids at home. They're just a normal human being. They're not a superhero. They're not a tyrant. They're just a flesh bag. They're just a flesh water balloon bag, just like you are. And they put on this uniform, and they got to go out there and do the most impossible, dangerous fucking job in the whole fucking country. And people don't think like that. They don't realize that, like, oh, you're just a human being and you're fucking scared too. Right? So the whole Breonna Taylor case thing is fucked up. The whole nation is pissed off that Breonna Taylor got shot. And all of us shooter guys are like, well, fuck, if I got shot at, I'd shoot back. And if there's somebody in the direction of my bullets, it happens sometimes. I mean, that's just the nature of things, man. You put yourself in a situation. Yeah, it's very unfortunate, but I know that if I was in that situation, I would have fired too. You know,
it's so hard to watch these cases or these high profile social media things, and you've only get a glimpse of it, so you don't know. Like, as you know, they were investigating her for a long time. Most of, if not all of these that have become national news that looked like the cop was out of line or whatever. If you were to actually investigate or look at the history of it, they're not unknown people. So almost all of them are people that has had contact with law enforcement or that specific officer over dozens of times, and they fought him multiple times. And this guy tends, or female, whatever you don't know the whole situation is my point, so you don't realize that this person is known to carry a gun. Like the last 3 times they contacted him, they put him in handcuffs and they searched him, found a gun because he was high or something and he was fighting with them. So when next time they contact him, what are you going to think? Oh, he's probably got a gun on him again. So what am I going to do? I'm going to draw down on him so that I have the advantage because I want to go home. And this guy is high again. I don't know if he's going to, last time he forgot he had a gun. This time he might remember and try to shoot me. So you're going to try to have the advantage to where you can go home. And people don't think that way because they only see the part. Our job is aggressive. It's violent. So you have to establish, you have to be the alpha. It's not every contact. Well, no, right. No. It's not every contact that violence happens. But if there's going to be violence or if there's going to be a potential for violence, we have to be the aggressor.
No, absolutely.
And that's so that we can go home. And that's for their safety as well. So if you see an officer that looks super aggressive, and I'm not defending every case by any means because I don't know every situation, and you could throw a case up to where I'm completely wrong. But in general, if you don't take control of a person that is acting aggressive, if you're not more aggressive and taking control, maybe grabbing them, putting them in a control hold of some sort, throwing cuffs on them, or putting them on the ground, which looks super bad to the public. They're like, oh, why would they do that? He was just yelling at him. That's, well, tell you what, you may have just saved that guy's life because maybe he would have done something that would have required your reaction would have forced you to maybe shoot him or something. You don't know. You don't know what's going to happen. You're always reacting. And that's what I wish everybody had in mind. And I realize it more now, obviously being on the streets than I did before. It's even more so. It's once you get out there, it's one thing to be in the academy, but once you get out there and it feels like all of a sudden somebody just set a weight on your shoulders and you feel the pressure on your chest because you're out there. Now you're a target. And so every encounter is potentially your last. Hopefully not, but
man, I try to explain this to people, and this is why I was actually quite excited to, like, I brought you on the podcast because you're a competition shooter. When I found out you were a sheriff's deputy, it was like, this is awesome because I've been on a tangent rant about this for the past month about police officers and what they have to deal with, and trying to explain it to people, and they don't fucking get it, man. They don't get it. They don't realize that you're just a human being that's just pulled somebody over, and you're walking up to a car, you're nervous, you're trying to think about how you're going to handle this encounter, how to de-escalate, how to calm things down.
And you just want it to be safe, not just for yourself, but for them as well. You don't want to make the wrong decision.
Right.
So you're walking up, so it's 3 a.m, you just pulled somebody over, and all you see is a silhouette with your bright lights on them, and you see that silhouette ducking down, disappearing, fumbling under the seat. What would just anybody walking up like that? Put yourself in that position.
Bro. It's sketchy as fuck.
Now you're like,
this is the thing we got to do.
Is this a gun? What is he doing?
This is the thing.
Now I got to go up there and find out.
This is what we got to do, man. We got to do more of this. Like, there has to be more podcasts like this where your average officers are out there explaining it, because most folks don't understand. They think that you're just like, doot, 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 doot. You walk up to you pull somebody over, and they feel like, most people think that you're just comfortable, like there's nothing going on. And yes, we got some crazy cops out there. They got super huge nuts. They've been doing it for a long time. Maybe some of these cops haven't encountered anything fucking dangerous, but like, I would imagine myself walking up to a situation that's unknown, and I would be fucking very on edge, very fucking terrified, nervous, like I'm interviewing a famous person. Right? Like, it's a scary situation. And most people don't realize this when they get pulled over. They're nervous. They're freaking out. They might have some weed in the car or whatever. They never think that the cop is nervous too. And me, what I do, when I get pulled over, I feel like, fuck, I fucked up. I did something wrong. This cop's pulling me over. What can I do to where when this police officer approaches my vehicle, or as he's approaching my vehicle, what can I do to make him feel comfortable and not worry? How can I make this encounter less stressful than the last 10 encounters he had today? Because I realize as a citizen, and I realize that police officers have the most impossible job, and it's almost impossible to get it right. Because every situation is fucking different. There's no such thing as winning when you're a police officer. Every encounter you have is a fucking loss. It's a lose-lose situation every time. And so what I do?
There's some good. You can do some good out there. So being a deputy
as I'm getting pulled over, sorry to interrupt. As I'm getting pulled over, I see the lights. I pull my wallet out. I reach for my insurance. As I'm still driving, I keep my eye on the road. I know where all my shit is. It's right in the center console. I prepare for this situation. And I pull over. I keep my hands on the steering wheel. All my shit's right there. As they're walking up, as soon as they can see a line of sight, I hand them all of my shit. Driver's license, or license to carry, driver's license, insurance. And without saying anything, the police officer, as soon as I hand it to him and he realized what's in his hands, there's this little bit of woo-saw. Like, to me, that's a pretty good message to a police officer that I understand enough to know what the situation that you're in. And without saying anything, I showed you that I wasn't a threat. I'm armed. My license is good. My insurance is good. He says something to me. I normally respond to a police officer like I would any human being that would talk to me in public. He talked to me. Hey, man, how's it going, man? My name's Christian. How's your day been? You know, I support my officers. Even if you're anti-fucking cop, if you want the situation to end in your favor, being nice and compassionate to another human being during a human encounter is always going to end better for both parties. But people don't realize that.
And the biggest thing is, like what you said out of all that, it's nice when they have their stuff ready, but the biggest thing is the hands. So you're going to escalate you're going to create a lot of unnecessary tension. And anytime you're pulled over, if you're moving your hands around a lot or they're disappearing, that's the number one thing. So it puts me at ease, and I know it puts most anybody at ease, especially at night when you can't see already very well. If the hands are on the steering wheel, and even if they're rude or whatever, but their hands stay up on the steering wheel as they're talking to you, whichever side they're on, whatever, that's a huge indicator. Like, okay, that's saying a lot right there without saying anything. That's a huge respect of putting an officer or a deputy, whatever it is, because that's the number one thing that even though they're talking to me, if their hands, I'm not paying attention to anything but their hands. It's like keep your hands where I can see. You know, that's number one. You'll hear all the time. Keep your hands where I can see them. Keep your hands up. That's why it's all about the hands, because I don't know too many people that can grab a gun or do something crazy with their feet. But I have seen a dude out there that shoots with his feet. But besides the point, it's all about the hands and being safe. So that'd be the number one thing. And then, as you say, you have all your stuff ready. So there.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, that's one thing that I don't know because I'm not a cop. Like, so I know that when I see the cop behind me light me up, or I'm passing a cop speeding and I see that he's radared me, right? Now, I don't know how much you guys can see through through my window, but I feel like as long as I'm still driving and you might see me reaching or lean or something like that,
that might be different. I get what you're saying.
I drive a truck.
That might be different for each. That'll be different for each officer and how they interpret it.
I drive a truck, so I have a center console that I set my arm on. I keep all my shit right there. I don't sit on my wallet when I drive because it's uncomfortable, so my wallet's there. My insurance is there, so if I'm getting pulled over, it's super simple for me to just keep driving, open it, pull my wallet out, pull my shit out, unfold, and as I'm pulling over, I just pull all my shit over. And
right. And that's generally not going to be an issue. Most officers aren't going to have an issue. If you walk up and all your stuff's ready, that's another, I guess it'll put you at ease, because it's like, okay, not a dirt bag, because one, you've got license, registration, and insurance. So right there, you're checking boxes that, okay, this person.
You know the fucking drill. You're getting pulled over. You're not playing stupid.
Right.
This isn't going to be a fucking argument. I imagine when you walk up to a car and they don't have nothing out, it's like, fuck, here we go. Right?
Because now you got to fish for it. Okay.
Yeah. Now you got to explain to them why now you got to tell them why they're being pulled over. You got to explain to them.
Now you got to
hey,
watch their hands.
Yeah, it's a fucking it's stupid, man. It's dumb. It's like when I get pulled over as an American, I already know what's up. They need to see my driver's license. They need to see my insurance in the state of Texas. My registration is a sticker. It's tied to my license plate. They don't need a registration.
Right. And they can
license,
that anyways.
License and insurance is what they need here in the state of Texas. And
the only thing I will say is every officer is different. So if he sees you going in there, if he happens to catch that while you're still driving, just keep in mind that might be interpreted as you know, it's always the thought is, did this person just grab a gun out of the center console? So he might approach with a raised level of adrenaline.
But I think that you can kind of deter that is if they walk up, you already got your window down, and he can see your hands when he walks up. You have all your information, one hand on the steering wheel, and you greet them when they walk up. Hey man, how's it going? You know,
absolutely. Yeah, I'm just throwing it out there that, like you said earlier, we're human.
We're all different.
What I see might be different. It is scientifically proven. If you and I were to watch the same thing, we both see something different. Or it's just the way it is. Our interpretation will be different.
What do you think the perfect scenario? Well, there's no such thing as a perfect scenario. I guess if you're a cop, it's like every time you pull somebody over, no matter what time of it, you could pull over somebody coming out of a church parking lot, and it's still a little bit nerve-wracking, I would imagine. I guess there's no perfect way to do, but if you could tell the rest of America what would put a police officer or sheriff's deputy at most ease, the steps that they can take from the time they're lit up until the time they're pulled over, what would make a police officer most comfortable and like to where they're never going to let their alerts a police officer is always going to be slightly on guard, slightly turned on. But what would make a police officer slightly more relaxed to where they don't feel like something bad could happen?
Well, it's going to be a couple things. So when you get lit up, you're going to be nervous if you're getting pulled over. I've had plenty of tickets, so I've been pulled over a lot before this job. But basically, once you see the lights, if you see a good spot, go to a spot where it's not putting them in danger, say in the road. You know, so don't drive too far and don't stop right away. Somebody who that always raises it. If the lights go on and boom, they pull over real quick, that's like, oh, that's a red. It's different. It's a good reaction would be they see the lights, they maybe, typical is you see them tap the brakes because they want it. They're showing that they want to stop, but they're like, oh, this isn't a good spot. Just relax, get to a safe spot, pull over, put it in park, leave the car running, and if they, don't disappear, don't duck down. The best thing, like I said earlier, is the hands on the steering wheel when you walk up. That is the most comfortable. If it's a point, roll down all your windows. If you have tinted windows, especially. I mean, you don't have to, I say that it depends on the weather. If it's pouring rain, obviously you don't want to do that. But if you have tinted windows, like most vehicles or cars will have back windows that are tinted. If you really want to put an officer at ease, boom, hit the window so they're all rolled down so that they can see in as they approach that back, and they see your hands on the wheel so they're, they can check the back safely while your hands are, they can see that out of their peripheral vision, your hands are still on the wheel. If there's multiple people in the car, everybody just hands on the knees, hands on the wheel. Obviously if an officer walks up and everybody in the car is like this, that's going to raise some flags. It's like, whoa, what are they doing, right? So don't be overly nervous.
At the same time, hands up is still safer than hands everywhere else.
It is, but if everybody in the car has their hands, I'm probably going to be like, All right, why don't you go step out?
Well, hold on a minute. You watch mainstream media too. You watch the fucking news, bro.
Yeah.
Come on. Some of these fucking
I don't watch a lot of news. I try not to. I really don't. I don't have TV. I don't have any local stations or anything. Let me tell you what I just see on social media.
Let me tell you what the political climate is on mainstream media when it pertains to police officers. They're trying to kill all the black people. Okay? So people are watching mainstream media and they're scared of cops. So if you walk up to a car and everybody's hands are up, you don't necessarily need to think that it's a suspicious situation. They might just be as scared as you are approaching a vehicle. So hands up should be an appropriate thing, right? They're like, all right, I'm waiting on you to give me a command. That shouldn't be suspicious. That should be like, maybe they're just as scared as you. And that's the thing I try to that's the thing I try to teach people is that like they don't realize this, that people don't look at police officers as human beings. They look at them as a form of authority. Some people look at you as an oppressor, right? So some people are afraid of you. If you're getting pulled over, they're not as nervous as you, but they are nervous. Ah, fuck. You know, so maybe they're just a guy like me, like normal, just a normal dude, right? I don't have a criminal record, but maybe I smoke a little pot and I have a little bit of weed. You know, they're scared. They're nervous. They don't mean you any harm, but they're nervous, so they're not acting normal. So hands up, be happy, bro. You can see their hands, bro. You can see the hands.
I'm just saying, I haven't seen it, so if I see it, I might be like, hold on, what's going on?
You guys can relax.
Right, that's probably what I say. Just relax.
You just forgot to turn on your blinker. You just forgot to turn on your blinker.
Right.
And it's so fucked up, man. It's so fucked up in this country to where, like, people, like, the whole identity part of our culture, like police officers, politicians, Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, Mexican, white, black, Chinese, Asian, they kind of put us all in these little fucking boxes to where we create all these social awkward situations, and you have these social problems in this nation where we have these deeply rooted problems in our country that are not being addressed at all because of these social issues, which are the social issues. The social issues. I'm not going to say that they're not important, right? But there's way more fucked up things that we got to be dealing with, and we're dealing with fucking like 57 genders, which I respect. Okay, I get it. If you want to identify as a Tonka truck popsicle that uses him, her, or them, they pronouns, look, we're in America. That's none of my business. Whatever makes you happy, right? But
right.
There's way worse issues out there that we need to be addressing, and the mainstream media keeps all these social issues like as a priority fucking topic, man. And it's quite fucking gross. And if I wish that we could publicize what police officers have to deal with on the daily more and make it more normal. Or if we can't do that and we can't make that a popular thing, maybe we can address this issue right here, is that police officers and sheriff's deputies, law enforcement in general, they're just fucking people. And in their job, 99% of the time, they can't win. They're waking up every day. They're clocking in. They're like, today's going to fucking suck. I'm probably not going to make any significant fucking difference because the system's fucking broken. And I'm just trying to do a job, and I'm just trying to pay my bills, and I'm trying to make it home to my fucking wife and kids safe. People don't think about that. They're just like CNN, MSNBC, Fox, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It's all they see is this encounter on this video. They see a video where shit went south with a police encounter, and they don't even think about this. Like, hold on a minute. The video just started. What happened before the video just started?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You see
And
videos
even on
blow
top
up
of
on
that,
you see videos blow up on the internet, and then a month later, when all the facts come out, the guy fucking ran over 3 or 4 kids and was chased for fucking 60 fucking miles, and people are pissed off because he got put in a chokehold. It's like, hold the fuck on. He deserved way worse, okay? You caught the ass into the situation, and then mainstream media is the worst, bro. Before they have any facts,
Absolutely.
they don't do the work. They're journalists, just like clickbait. Let's get this. Let's go. They don't fucking talk to the sheriff. They don't talk to the fucking chief of the police. They don't wait. As soon as something pops up on social media, they're reporting it to the fucking whole country, dividing everybody, making everybody hate fucking cops. And it's fucking gross, bro. It's fucking gross.
It is. And, it's just like, what's funny is I never grew up wanting to be a cop. It was actually opposite. I always saw law enforcement as, I respected them because for whatever reason, I always had a sense, I don't know where I got it, but of what the job was and how dangerous it was. I never wanted to wear a gun because I understand that responsibility. You're wearing a gun because you might have to take somebody's life to save a life or your own. You think about that. Imagine if every day you go to work, that's an option, that you're going to take a life to save yourself or save somebody else. That's pretty significant. And I always was aware of that. And then not only that, dealing with the type of people you're dealing with, the just constant problems that never want to change. They're just going to do drugs until they die. And they're going to take whatever they can take. They don't care who it hurts. There's no care. Laws aren't laws to them. That doesn't matter to them. Nothing matters to them except for what they're doing. And it's all about them. It's a super selfish lifestyle when it comes down to it. But I never wanted to deal with it. I always like, oh, thank God for cops because they have to deal with it. Officer, just thank you. I'm never want to do that, and on top, it's so much more than that. But those are kind of the heavier stuff, taking people's kids away because you see the conditions they're in or that they're abused or just all sorts of terrible stuff. So knowing that, I knew that I never wanted to do that job because of how much responsibility there is, and
it's a fucking nightmare, man. It's a nightmare. Like, hey, look, this is another thing I say. Like, people that are all anti-cop and shit, the same people that are anti-cop are going to be the first ones to fucking call the cops because the anti-cop motherfuckers are the ones that can't take care of themselves. Me personally, bro, Isaac Lockwood, I don't call the police. I handle shit my own. I call the fucking guy that needs to come pick up the bodies. Right? I need an ambulance. I call my attorney if I need to. I say at 911, I need a detective. I've been involved in a shooting. I need an ambulance. I need to let you go so I can render aid. And I hang up. That's how it's gonna go. And this is the thing. Like, it takes. Like, you're fucking crazy, and you're a little bit stupid too. But like anybody that wants to become a cop, hold on a minute. Anybody that's like, I want to be a cop. I feel like that there's a little bit of stupidity there, and there's a little bit of insanity, but that's not a bad thing, right? We need folks like you because look, I love what you do, and I think that I would be proud to do what you do. But I'm just not fucking stupid enough to put up with the bullshit you got to put up with. I want to be happy. I don't want to die, right? So for the very people that decide to make the sacrifices that you fucking make, and you make that hard decision to try to make a difference in your community when you probably already knew when you became a cop, I'm probably not going to make much of a difference. I can only kind of keep checks and balances, right? I can only kind of keep things from not turning into complete anarchy. And we live in a fucking nation where, like, what, 10% of this country, 10% of the population has the correct mentality and mental strength to even become a cop and to do the job effectively and efficiently. Because you got to think, man, 1 second you could be zipping up a 2-year-old in a body bag in a bad car accident, right? And this is common practice that police officers deal with horrific car accidents. They deal with that. It's sad. It's stressful. You're dealing with all these emotions. You're dealing with hurt people that are physically hurt, mentally hurt. And then you leave that scene and you pull over this 17-year-old woke fucking California kid with pink hair, and they got a camera out. And they're like, am I being detained? And you just left a fucked up scene, and you're just trying to write this person a ticket for going 14 over the speed limit. Like, you don't give a fuck about anything in this car. You're trying to write this ticket so you can go fucking process what you just went through, and now you got a camera in your fucking face. Like, and I know for a fact that is almost a weekly thing or a monthly thing that fucking cops got to fucking deal with. And it's, hey, you're fucking crazy. I don't mean to offend you by saying you're stupid for what you do, but I'm sure you get what I'm saying.
Right.
Why do you sign up for it? What does it take for a human being like you to sign up for the fucking abuse? Like, what motivated you to do this?
It was a friend of mine works for our department, and I go to church with him, and he brought it up. He's just like, dude, you should. He's like, we need good people. You should do this. You know, and not, you know, not like to what you.
You're good. Oh shit! Yeah, I can't hear you. Can you hear me? It's all good, folks. Earbuds with battery life. It is what it is. We'll get to it in a minute. It's okay, man. If you can hear me, it's okay. We're okay. No. He feels bad, but it is what it is, and it's okay. It happens, man. It happens.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. We're good to go.
All right,
bro.
I'm back.
It's okay. It's okay. Like I was already preparing for this to happen. Like I the reason why I recommended Bluetooth earbuds for you is so you wouldn't be connected to a wire. So if you turned around or just stood up and tried to show a gun or something, you didn't yank your fucking camera off or your phone. To me, it's better. It's better if you got to swap out an earbud than dropping your phone on the fucking concrete, you know. But yeah, you were talking about how you had a friend at church that got you involved in the department.
Right. So it's super cliche. He told me about it, and I was like, no way. Nope. I know I'm never. That's not for me, man. I love what you do, but sorry. Well, we both have kids similar ages, and for whatever reason, it just wouldn't go away. It went in my head, and I mulled it over for over a year, and it just kept coming back like, I need to do this. And, you know, the voices in the head are playing like, oh, you should do this. And then I was like, no, you're not doing, you know, you don't want, you know what it is, you know the responsibility.
Were you already a competition shooter at the time?
I started shooting a little bit before that. And I think that's kind of played into it a little bit because I wasn't shooting competition yet, but I had started shooting and got confident in manipulating a pistol, and I was shooting rifles more. I prefer a rifle. I'm much better with a pistol now, but at the time I was better with a rifle because I was practicing with that more. But anyways, that definitely played into it. It's what got me kind of thinking like, well, I know that I would be effective, or at least I think I'd be effective in a gunfight or whatever. So I would be that much better to react to something if it goes south. And that it could be part of the job. Not that hopefully it hasn't been for me yet, but it's happening more and more. Well, anyway, so it wouldn't go away. And it was that classic calling. That's the best way to describe it, to where it's like, I couldn't shake it. The opportunity arose. They were hiring in the jail. And he's like, hey, just go and try out, just you basically they organize it to where it's all done in one day. You do your physical test and an oral test, and then a written test and an oral test. So that way they can kind of do it all. It's your whole Saturday. So I was like, all right, well, let's see, So I go, and then they got right back to me. I was what they were looking for, I guess. So they put me to the forefront and got me into backgrounds like right away, and got into the jail, and it was a whole new world because I have no background in it, and like I said, I'm only a little over 3 years into this, in law enforcement in general. And yeah, it was just something that wouldn't go away. And I just felt I have kids in the community. And while I know I don't expect, I hope to change things for the better. I hope to make a difference, as I think every officer does. That's why they get into it in some way, some part. But I don't expect to, because of the climate, because of the way things are. But at the same time, that while I was in the jail, I've had prior inmates message me and thank me or whatever, via Facebook or whatever, just try to get a hold of me, just say thank you or whatever. Just not too many, just a couple, basically because I would just talk to them. It's like, dude, I can't relate because I don't have your background. We all come from different places, but I mean, I'm a human, and I would just talk to them about their lives and try to find out what basically my goal was. It's like, so you choose this life, and a lot of them, the major thing is they think they're victims. And I would try to tell them, like, everybody's a victim.
Especially in California.
Yeah, right. So I wouldn't give credit to their victimness. So I would basically try to target. I just ask them, so does, what's important to you? Is it just the next drug? Is it just that, I'm just trying to identify, and I'm trying to learn really what makes these people tick. Because for me, it's my kids, I chose this for my kids because I would like them to grow up in a better environment than I grew up, and it's getting worse. So I doubt I'm going to be able to do that, but I'd rather do something than nothing and just complain about it. And that's kind of what it came down to, is I was just seeing the town I grew up in, the town my kids are growing up in, getting worse and worse. And I hate everything that's doing. And I realized, well, what am I doing about it?
So what were you doing? What were you doing before? Like you were already a parent, you were already married. Like what was your trade before you were like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna become a cop. Fuck it, I'm a crazy person. Let me go lose every day.
Yeah, I was a milkman. So the milk, yeah.
Providing, see, you were already making a difference in the community. You were providing dairy products.
Yep.
You were making a difference already, man. Everybody needs their milk.
Delivering to the schools, some stores. Yeah, delivering the milk. But that was a backbreaking job, and it was going nowhere. There was no that played into it as well. I was not gonna go anywhere with that, until my back gave out. So it was kind of also the opportunity there to get into a line of work that, even though it's losing, it's still rewarding, where you get that message, like I said, from the, you get a message saying, hey, I really appreciate, just simply talking, if nothing else, it was just talking to them, not treating them like a total dirtbag, which realistically they are. They choose it though, but they can also choose not to be. And that's what I would always try to say. It's like, look, you're addicted, but there's things you can do to not be. Like, you could choose a different path. You could choose to get help. You could choose to do the work. You're just, and this is really what I think got some of them, and not that it changed every mind, but it really, I think it bothered most of them, is what I would always say. I was like, the difference is between me and you, besides our backgrounds, is I could have chosen the same path. There was a time I was going down that path, but I chose to change it. The difference is you're weak-minded. And they don't like hearing that. They're like, whoa, what? They've never been told that, probably. And I was like, you're weak-minded because you're doing the easy thing. Drugs, you want to do drugs, or it makes you feel a certain way, or you want to do, you don't want to have a job. You'd rather just steal. You'd rather just do that. So you're choosing the easy path. Well, anybody can do that. You're weak-minded.
Well,
so
hey, let me tell you my perspective on this, and I think that if you might, I think that I can convince you of my perspective a little bit. So,
and I'm not saying I'm right on all accounts.
I know, but it
depends on who I'm talking to, of course.
This is why I do these podcasts, and this is why I was excited to have. Like, I brought you on because you were a competition shooter, but I was super excited when I found out you were a sheriff's deputy, is because I've had this. I have sheriff's deputy buddies. One of my brothers, I love this dude. He's 25 years sheriff's deputy, just retired. He retired when his dog retired, and he's my brother. But one thing that I like to talk about with police officers is this right here. Now, you do have the drug users that are gang affiliated. They rob, they assault, and they do evil things to continue their lifestyle. But you also have just your average human being that he goes to work just like you. He clocks in, he does his thing, he doesn't commit any crimes. But he may smoke marijuana. I realize that's legal in your country. Or he may have another vice. Another vice that's illegal.
California's a country now.
Well, did I say that?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm 5 beers
No,
in.
you're fine.
The state of California. Sorry. I'm a moron. Anyways.
No. It feels like it's a different country, man.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was my subconscious mind saying that. But no, this is my theory when it comes to drug users. Not necessarily these hardcore criminals, but like I feel like a person's consciousness is as sacred and intimate as anything else. And like it's in my opinion, the most sacred and intimate thing is your consciousness. We change the state of our consciousness when we sleep, when we eat, when we love, when we make love, when we're sad, when we're depressed, when we exercise, when we shoot in competition shootings. There's millions of ways to change your state of consciousness. And I feel like as a human being, as an adult, our government allows us to take many risks. Race cars, jump out of planes, drink alcohol, which is, I do it, it's awful. Smoke cigarettes. They allow us to take all these risks. And that's the one thing that I disagree with the most is like, if it's just an adult, right, not intoxicated while they're driving, no priors, no criminal history, or if they have a criminal history, maybe it's just a possession charge, non-violent. I feel like that those people are misrepresented in our society. So like in the state of Texas, marijuana is illegal. And a marijuana user, I don't look at a marijuana user and a cocaine user and a mushroom user or psychedelic or heroin. I don't look at them any different. If they're not pieces of shit, they're not criminals outside of their possession and use is what I mean. If they're just a user and they're not doing anything that affects anybody else, I feel like they're not doing anything wrong. And right. I feel like that's what makes it complicated for the police. Like, the war on drugs is your biggest fucking problem, right? Without the war on drugs, you kind of, not 100%, because there'll always be a black market, just like in California, marijuana's legal, but you still have a black market. But when you end the war on drugs, and I'm not saying legalize everything, but maybe just decriminalize, right? If you decriminalize everything, you're basically changing the game for police officers, right? So now they're not focused on, you're always going to have to deal with pieces of shit that are on drugs, or maybe they're a piece of shit because they're on drugs and they're just a bad human being that found drugs, right? Me, I have no criminal record whatsoever, and I moderately every once in a while smoke marijuana or I use cannabis. It's not an everyday thing. It's not that. Once in a while, I might do a psychedelic or something like that. I've probably done it once since I was in high school, but I'm not a criminal, right? I'm not breaking into people's house. Yeah, go ahead.
Personally, I'm on the same track. I'm a fan of less laws. I'm super conservative in the fact that this country was founded on freedom, and you have laws that stop you from infringing on others' rights. That's the number one, or obviously, especially if it's
that's the most important. That's the most important.
So we need those.
Have. We absolutely have to have them.
Then we've got so many laws. As I was telling you, I think before we started this, just the penal code book alone is just so thick and so many laws. I mean, pretty much, especially here in California, we got CBC codes, you got fish and game, health and safety codes. I'm probably missing at least, there's more. There's like 3 more books of codes and laws and things. And it's just, there's so much that I think everybody is breaking some sort of law. I don't think there's a person in California that isn't or hasn't. I'm sure, but it comes down to a big thing is discretion. So it's like, at least for all the officers I know, they're not really worried about the user that is only affecting themselves. It's when they use, and then all of a sudden they decide they're going to walk to the store. While they walk to the store, somebody bumps into them and they're still high or on whatever drug they're on, and then now they're acting crazy. That's all of a sudden, that's different. That's involving another person. So that's where I think it will come into effect, or where it does at most times. Because if somebody's using it at home, no officer showing up at their door. If they just go home and they relax like you do, or most everybody relaxes with a couple beers, no officer's coming to that door. If they relax by smoking weed or doing a line of coke, officers aren't showing up because they're not affecting anybody. So in a sense, even though while by law it's illegal for that,
they're not affecting their community, therefore they're not throwing any red flags. But the point that I was getting to is I think that a lot of encounters that go wrong with police with people, obviously anytime police are called, it's because somebody fucking did something stupid, or somebody was acting suspicious, or somebody rose concern. Yeah. Somebody rose concern to another citizen. But what I mean is like, imagine a world as a police officer where drugs were decriminalized, and you're pulling somebody over and they don't have the reason to act nervous or get weird or start acting stupid, because they might be in possession, but all they did was forget their blinker. Right? Imagine they're like, I got a little bit here, but I'm not on it. I'm not intoxicated, and there's no reason to act fucking stupid. Right? And my thing is, my biggest point is on the side of that is decriminalization will almost crush the organized, not end it, but kind of crush the organized crime in this country. Because as soon as you decriminalize things, you make it to where doctors, scientists, and other people could start to work with some of these substances and do research on them and potentially implement them into the pharmaceutical side of things, where like MDMA has been used in other countries to help soldiers and even police officers with PTSD. There's police officers in this country that leave the country to go get MDMA treatment for PTSD. Soldiers too. There's psilocybin mushrooms, which has also helped out with PTSD with soldiers. There's ayahuasca and DMT that have helped people. That's a little bit more sketch. We need a whole lot more research on that kind of stuff. But these are all Schedule I drugs in this country, and they show lots of benefits for a lot of people. For a lot of people, these are plants and chemicals that society's been using for 12,000 years. What I think that is, if we decriminalize them, we put a big hammer down on organized crime. Because now, I mean,
it's a definite possibility.
It's not perfect. It's not perfect.
Right.
It's going to come with its problems, just like everything. That's the biggest rebuttal to that argument. Well, if you decriminalize everything, what about all these other problems? Well, it doesn't matter what you do in society when it comes to law. Every piece of legislation creates 100 fucking problems. Every time you decriminalize something, it creates a lot of problems. But what we do as a society is we adapt, evolve, and overcome some of these problems that it has. But I think that one of the bigger issues that we have in this country is when it comes to consenting adults, just normal people, that their consciousness should be their business. They're adults. We should treat all of these substances like we treat alcohol, like we treat cigarettes, like we treat coffee. You know what I mean?
Right.
All these
Until it affects the public or another person.
Absolutely.
I understand that.
Absolutely. And I think by doing that, we could kind of change the morale and the direction of organized crime in this country. Just imagine this, like the drug cartels are a huge fucking problem. They generate like $300 to $400 billion a year. How much of that money makes it back to the cartels? Okay, let's say 100 billion makes it back to the cartels. That's more than most armies around the world. That's a fucked up situation. That's a really fucked up situation. When are the drug cartels going to be the next? They're already there, bro. I'm sure you've seen the videos. Like, they have their own military down there, the drug cartels.
Right.
They can invade us at any moment, and they have the fucking manpower and equipment to do it. How much does a fighter jet cost? When is the drug cartels going to start buying nuclear weapons and fighter jets? They got the money to do it. The biggest blow and attack we could do to the drug cartels is to lower the demand in this country. And is decriminalizing necessarily going to lower the demand? Yes, to an extent. And maybe we start doing some research on this stuff. Maybe we start regulating it. Maybe we start providing a safer form and version of it. And maybe you got to go to a doctor. Maybe you got to prove that you need it. Maybe in certain states they make it recreational. But any damage that we can do to the drug cartels in the black market on these things is going to lower organized crime. It's going to destroy gang funds. The whole war on drugs revolves around organized crime, and it creates the prison for profit system. And all this stuff puts you as a sheriff's deputy in a huge bind because you're in a losing situation all the fucking time, and it just makes your job harder. And if you didn't have to be focused on that aspect of the job all the time, then you absolutely could make a difference in your community, because then you would be focused on the things that you want to be focused on within your community.
True. I mean, I don't think that could be an answer in
it's not a
my
perfect
community
answer
specifically, right? But I don't think there is one. There's never going to be one, because I've tried it, like we've talked about already. The key component is there's humans involved. Anytime there's humans involved, you're going to have flaws. And that's what's so great about this country. You know, they get patriotic, but this country is the greatest country ever. It's of any country that's ever existed. Because we can have these conversations. Right. We balance freedom, with law and order, very well. And it's, and I, personally, like I said, I swore an oath to uphold the state of California Constitution and its laws. So I swore to uphold those laws.
I'm so happy you said that.
So personally, I believe it doesn't matter what I believe when I'm doing my job.
Oh man. It's okay. It's okay. I can hear you now. I can hear you. You're good.
Oh, you can hear me?
You're up and rolling.
Oh, okay.
We just had a glitch. Hey, this is normal. Okay. This is normal. Like when I invite guests on, I'm not inviting on, like, I'm not talking to a politician or a Hollywood person. We're dealing with the equipment that normal human beings have. It's okay. It's okay.
Right. So that being said, though, you set your personal feelings aside, which mine are, I kind of voiced them already, is less laws, harsher punishments for those laws. So we don't have that. We're going the opposite way. We're creating more laws with no punishment, which gets nothing done. But I don't make them. My job is to enforce them, but I also am afforded the opportunity to use discretion. So if I find somebody that is minding their own business and might be high, which I have, but they're not affecting anybody, I make sure that they're safe, that they're able to care for themselves. And that's that, I just got to make sure that they're not hurting anybody, hurting themselves, because that's my job. Even though they might want to hurt themselves, I can't allow that. Right. So that's when I'm forced to do something. But, generally, law enforcement gets involved when that is not happening. So
mostly almost 90% of the
yeah.
time we're seeing the worst. I mean, you guys deal with the worst of people. Like you're working in your communities. I imagine most of the time you're dealing with a lot of the same people. You're dealing with a lot of the same areas. You're very familiar with the encounters and the people that you're encountering. You're very familiar with them. You got them on your computer screen. You already, even if you haven't ran into them, your partner has or somebody has, and you already kind of have the gist that this dude is kind of sketch as fuck, and you need to approach the situation knowing this person is sketch as fuck.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the majority, I would say. So it's, if that's, you actually, it's kind of funny. In the short time I've been on, meeting the same person over and over, the first time you meet them, it's just like anybody. It's like, what's your name? All this stuff. You get their information. You're super safe. You're keeping your eyes on them. You run them out. You do all this stuff. And then, the 10th time you see this person, they're doing the same. They're drunk again or whatever it is. And then you're calling them their first name basis. Like, why don't you just stay in the bushes where you normally do?
What the fuck,
why,
Bob?
I've got to arrest you when you come over here. Why are you over here? Like, you actually give them more leeway because you know them and they're just doing the same thing. They don't care as much as you care about, you just like do your thing, but do it out of view of the public. Come on, man. He's like, you're like looking around, like hoping the public doesn't see you so you can use your discretion to not arrest them because it's not going to make a difference. You'd rather just get them out of there or whatever you got, it's just, each situation is different, but yeah, it's unfortunately, it's a lot of the same people, a small percentage creating the overwhelming majority of all the calls. And how do you correct it? When it comes down to it, people got to choose. You can't fix somebody. They got to fix themselves. So, it's just, you can help them. You can show them the way, but they've got to walk down the path. That's kind of what it comes down to. And I just wish it seems like more people, I think it stems back to earning things. It's more than one thing. I stated, their general thing is they're weak-minded. They're choosing not to overcome that deficiency of theirs. So we all have ours. They're all different. Some of us share the same things. So, but we all have issues we deal with that we have to overcome. But our weakness would be to just do what we want to do. So we all have to overcome that somehow. And I mean, I don't know. Like I don't have a solution, but I definitely, that's what got me into this is I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to at least do my part, willing to earn it, and see instead of just complain about it. So.
Yeah, man. It's like the weeds in your fucking yard you can never get rid of no matter what you try. You order everything off Amazon that it guarantees that's going to kill these weeds. And they just keep fucking coming back. There's nothing you can do about it. Man,
you know what?
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
I was just thinking, just basically to wrap it up, I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity. I know my wife's probably text. I think I see a text on my phone there.
Where the fuck are you? Dinner's been ready for 3 hours.
No, I can't do. I've got it so good. I wake up every morning. Yes, thank the Lord that she's with me. Because she's made me a better person. Actually,
I think
She's part of the reason.
when you find a good woman, yeah, they make you a better person. But I think that when it becomes when you're a man in this country, you can hook up with anybody, right? But really, what you're doing is you're trying to find somebody that will put up with your bullshit and support you through it. somebody somebody that will put up with your shit, because us dudes, we're morons. We're retarded, man.
Yeah.
We're hard to deal
Absolutely.
with. It's all about finding that patient chick that sees the good in you and can put up with all the rough edges.
Yeah, and she does. That's the part of it. She does a good job at keeping me grounded, because it's like I'll show her like something I think's cool, or say like somebody like you contacts me. It's like, hey, dude, I saw this. It's really cool. So as all of a sudden I get home, I'm like, hey, babe, check this out. And she does a good job, and she's like, that's great. Can you change a diaper? Because what are you doing? if you're not helping me, you're just holding me back. Get out of the way or do something. And it's like, good point. Good point. Back to real life, But that's exactly what we need, though, because then your head starts getting big, or you start thinking, you just lose sight of reality, and that's a big part of the problem in this country with the social media, as we all know. It's just you lose sight of reality. So anyways, that's what, hopefully, if anybody's viewing my any of my social media, like I show the good stuff because I want to show how good the products are, or the sponsors that support me. And then I try to make it look good too. Everybody wants to feel good and be good at something, but then I also show my screw ups, and you learn from your mistakes, and that's why one of my points is
that's like, that's why I'm not going to edit this video.
Right, you learn from your mistakes, and and I know we're learning a ton, right? Especially on this video, we learned a lot.
We learned about Bluetooth headphones maybe not being the best idea. Right.
Yeah.
Hey, for the most part, they worked. This has been a good podcast. We had a couple moments where shit went down and stuff, but I don't think it was bad. I think it was part of it's part of the experience for everybody that's watching.
Right. Yeah.
All right. I'm just a welder fabricator. This is a competition shooter, sheriff's deputy. We're just working with what we got, motherfuckers. Deal with it. If you don't like it, go check out another YouTube channel, or go check out another Twitch channel. I'm doing this for fun because I like this guy.
Well, yeah, I appreciate it, man. I do. It was good talking to you, and thanks for letting me show you my toys. And
yeah, man. So one more time before you go, shout out your social medias real quick, and maybe give love to your sponsors one more time. And
yeah, definitely.
We'll close it out so you can go home and make the wife happy.
All right. Yeah. So if you're trying to look me up on Facebook, it's my name, Isaac Lockwood. Instagram is the same, my name, and then shooting, training, competing. And then on YouTube, say just my name, Isaac Lockwood. And then my sponsors, who they're going to be all over on those. I always throw shout outs to them. But the big ones, Gray Guns, Shooter World Powder, Targets USA, who I forgot to mention. I don't know how. I've got the targets that are in all my videos for shooting. And you can check them out. All of their stuff's online. I've got TCF Ammunition, which is where I'm at now for my ammo. I've got Springer Precision for like base pads or accessories to your pistols. Denny Bar Company, It's Jerky, and Second Amendment Inc. I forgot to mention that one. That's a great company. They're online as well. They make shirts and hats. And basically, it's just bringing awareness to the Second Amendment and how important it is to have your gun rights. That's what protects all the other rights. And then SIG Electro Optics. This is where I get my optics for my pistols for competition. SIG Electro Optics they're just great optics. So it's the only thing I use. I've used other brands, but these are the best, especially for competition. So it's arguable, of course. It's all, what you like, but that's what I use. So I think
Oh man, can you hear me? We've been having technical issues all night, but it is what it is. This is the kind of shit that happens when you're interviewing awesome people that don't podcast and they're not on the internet at the level that I'm at.
Tell me what you wanna do, what you gonna do. Yeah. Bad boys, what you...
Are you there?
Yeah. I was just playing the Bad Boys theme song while you were trying to figure it out.
I'm super good at this.
Yeah, man, you've been solving problems all night, man. You're fast, you're quick, you're doing it right, man.
Oh, shoot. So, yeah, anyways, check them out and check them out online. Give them a like, follow them. And you don't have to follow me, but I have some stuff on there.
No, you guys absolutely have to go follow this guy, or you're all pieces of shit. I'm just saying. Isaac Lockwood, he's a good dude, competition shooter. I watch his videos. His videos are fun to watch. His sponsors take care of him. And without his sponsors, we wouldn't have the content that he's providing. So, guys, go show some support. Go show some love. These are small mom and pop companies. Well, they're not small, but they started out small. And it was because of people like you, me, and Isaac that blew these companies up. So let's show our love and support, because that is the foundation of this country, folks. Anyways, let's close it out, man.
All right,
man. I really appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, we're going to do it again, man. We're going to do it again. We got to do this with you at the range with more technical difficulties, because the signal will probably be shit.
Well, we can do a short one. I could do a couple drills or something.
Yeah, man, that'd be cool, man. All the viewers, they'll love it. They'll love it. All right, my man.
Sounds good.
I'm gonna hit play on the cop. I'm gonna hit play on the cops theme song and say goodbye to you.
All right, man.
All right, man. Take care, brother. Love you, homie.
All right, see you later.
Isaac Lockwood, folks. Man, that was a cool interview, man. I've been wanting to bring him on for a bit, and we finally found time to bring him on. To my YouTube folks, I'm out of here. Don't tell me how to freedom, and I won't tell you how to freedom.